Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live, the Massive Iron podcast. The biggest podcast on planet Earth, the strongest podcast on planet Earth, and arguably the debate is open. The fittest podcast on planet Earth. And you know what? I might not be the fittest man on planet Earth, but if you find another 54-year-old guy doing the stupid crap I'm doing, you know, let's set up a celebrity boxing match or something. I don't know. I'm just being silly. It's Friday. Hey, guys, I'm joined today by Faz. Faz Lifts. I appreciate Faz joining me. He's a last-second entry into the chaos. Before we dive into a few topics, we're going to do a few topics before we dive into the Q&As. Faz, tell everybody where they can find you.
Hey folks, so yeah, if you don't know me, I'm Faz Lifts. I have a YouTube channel. I also have an Instagram. So follow me on there, either one, Faz Lifts. Be good to see you on there. All right.
Yeah, you know, by saying I'm the fittest podcast on planet Earth, it's going to trigger someone. We live in such a cancel culture generation that no one appreciates humor and hyperbole. And, you know, in the good old days, Faz, we would make fun of ourselves. You know, it was just part of life, making fun of yourself. Yeah. And, some people just don't get it, you know. So how are things going, Faz? How are things going over your way?
Things are good. TGIF. Been a long, hard week, but looking forward to the weekend. I'm going to go see a friend tomorrow for a 40th birthday party, so that's cool. And, yeah, apart from that, all going well. How are you?
Good. Just preparing for the new year, trying to ramp up some coaching. I have some coaching slots available. I've had a lot of guys with me, some guys with me the full year. So I'm trying to kind of refine my products and services a little bit. So I'm going to be working on that this weekend. So Faz, I want to talk about, hey guys, before we dive in, we're going to do a couple quick topics. Before we dive in, I'm here every 11 a.m. Eastern every Friday, so please join in. This is part of a podcast, which you can find the Massive Iron Podcast on Spotify and several other places. It'll be on Apple soon. And before I dive in, I already see a question from somebody saying, it's from Paul, are my comments being removed on purpose? No. We do not remove comments, Paul. Unfortunately, that's YouTube. YouTube is like this, and I have to mention it every single week. I do not remove comments unless they're racism or, you know, vulgar or whatever. Or, hey, dude, how many steroids do you take, dude? You know, that sort of thing. So sometimes your comments are too long and YouTube censors them. Sometimes your comment might include a weird word that YouTube doesn't like. I don't know. But if I don't get your comments, Instagram me at Ben the Barman. I can see the instant notification and I will respond. It's not me removing your comments, so keep trying.
I get that on mine as well, guys. I just want to repeat what Steve said. Occasionally, the YouTube algorithm will pick it up as it looks like a spam post, and so they'll immediately put it to they'll just hide it. So that's where that happens.
You all remember when the supplement engineer was on here? I have probably 8 different YouTube accounts. I'm that old, you know. I just had some stuff for work and whatever, and I could never get a comment over on his live video ever on all 8 accounts. So I know it's frustrating. Very sorry. If you guys sign up for coaching at superlivingtoday.com, I can accrue a massive amount of wealth and buy YouTube. How's that for a plan? All right, so Faz, let's dive into a couple of quick topics. We don't have to draw these out excessively. We can kind of just hit and run them. Let me share this for those of you guys watching on video. We have a post from Menno Henselman, a meta-analysis. So for those of you that aren't scientific or don't really know about science, this is not a one-off study. A meta-analysis is an analysis of all the studies. So basically, all the information we have, let's put it in a bowl, let's sort through it, sift through it, etc. So there's a meta-analysis, compares machines versus free weights for strength and size. And basically basically I don't think there's a lot to learn here, Fast. I don't think there's a lot to learn. There's, in the real world, there's going to be some slight carryover. Like you do leg presses, it might help your squats and deadlifts a little bit. You do squats, it's going to help your leg presses a little bit. Basically, the big thing they found is if you squat, it's really going to help your squat strength more than leg press. If you leg press, it's really going to help your leg press more than your squats. So in the real world, what's the take home? Do a variety exercise and get strong at everything. Anything you see in here, Faz? I know I kind of dumped this on you at the last minute.
I'm used to it now. It's fine. So with this, you know what it is? It's like, Steve, it reminds me of when people say, what's the best exercise for the chest? Like, should I do a bench or should I do an incline bench? No one's doing just one exercise or one modality. Like, people are going to use barbells, they're going to use dumbbells, they're going to use machines, as long as you go to a reasonably well-equipped gym. So it's not really a question which is that relevant. That's my first thought. And just to wrap it up nice and quickly, my second thought is, it really depends if we're talking short-term or long-term. Like, long-term, if you build up to a, 400-pound squat, you're probably going to be pretty decent on the leg press. If you build up to a, hammer strength press for 5 plates a side, well, you're probably a pretty decent bencher, long term. Short term increases, they're going to be very specific. Of course, a 2.5 kilo PR on your leg press is probably going to be good for a 2.5 kilo PR on your leg press and not much else. So that just say, that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, there's not much to see here. I mean, the foundation that I've been preaching forever, get the body as strong as possible from head to toe, use a good quality selection of exercises. There's some things I've said over the years, Faz, that people kind of knee-jerk them into almost being controversial. Like, I will say, if you get your barbell row, your Pendley row to 315 by 3 by 8, where do you think your deadlift's going to be? And then somebody will knee-jerk like, well, direct carryover, or, I mean, people will try to dismember that type of thinking. But I didn't deadlift for the first 21 years of my lifting career. And the first time I deadlift, it was easy 365. And I was up to 500 in like 3 months.
Do you remember Bill Starr, how the no deadlift program? How to build your deadlift. It was power cleans, good mornings, and that's how we built some massive, and squats, and that's how we build massive deadlifts back in the day. And I mean, we see that in the modern day with like Westside Barbell doesn't do a massive amount of deadlifting. A lot of guys don't do a great deal of deadlifting from the floor, but they can build a deadlift through other ways. And you can have that. A lot of things have carryover, assuming we have enough strength gain and enough of a long-term perspective on those. So, I mean, nothing much to see here. I think it's but then, that's good science. Good science is not supposed to be revolutionary. It's supposed to just reaffirm what we know.
Yeah, it's just to end cap the point on deadlifts. I don't do aggressive deadlift programs for people. I spend a lot of time trying to get them really strong on shrugs and really strong on their back and really strong on their quads. And then, the average person's doing 3 sets of deadlifts a week in my programming. And it seems like where's the programming here? But over time, what we're doing is building a base. And, as that base is built, there's far too much focus on minimalism. And I don't like minimalism because there's not enough quad work. There's not enough back work. There's not enough bigger picture, if you will, long run. So. All right, Faz, we're going to do one more here for you. And this is something I reposted from food.lies.com. Tufts University, somewhere in the universe, came up with the food compass. Okay. There's some good things in here. There's some bad things in here. But the thing I like the best is sweet tater chips and Lucky Charms over eggs, cheese, and beef. Eggs, cheese, and beef. Like, Lucky Charms are to be moderated. I don't know, eating orange Cheerios is up there to be encouraged. Eat your Cheerios. But be careful of that ground beef fast. I don't know. It's a crazy. This aside, it's just a crazy nutritional world we live in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my first thoughts are, what's the beef against Lucky Charms? Like, why are Lucky Charms so much worse than Cheerios? Like, are they both the same BS?
I don't know. I think Lucky Charms maybe or didn't pay enough money because Cheerios are whole wheat and they've been positioning themselves as healthy for a longer period of time. But Faz, I'll just say my quick take on this, and I'll let you end cap it. When it comes to food, I think both of us agree a good way forward for most people in the modern era is to focus on, not to limit, but to focus on lean meats, fruits, and vegetables. Because you don't have to give up beef and you don't have to give up bacon. That's not what I'm saying. You don't have to give up dairy. That's not what I'm saying. We're not trying to create a system of rules here. Yeah. But by focusing on lean meats, fruits, and vegetables, you're getting in more micronutrient density per calorie, and you're getting in more food volume per calorie. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. And you know what? Can we just for a second just point out that your nutrients are across a range of food. So when we think nutrient, when you think superfood, you tend to think of vegetables and legumes and all that kind of stuff, which is great. Like there's a whole range of nutrients in there. But let's not forget about the nutrients in meat. Let's not forget about the nutrients in milk. Let's not forget about the nutrients in eggs. I'm not saying they are super nutrient dense things, but they are equally good along a balanced spectrum of all the, the minimally processed foods that we eat, like vegetables, your fruits, all that kind of stuff, as well as your meat. So let's, have some props to the humble beef burger as well. There's plenty of nutrients in there that we need as part of a balanced overall diet.
And let's not forget the point, and this is something we need to educate folks on moving forward, is that there is a lot of money in the food industry, and there is a push right now by certain people. You think the carb industries and the sugar industries and the flour industries aren't funneling tons of money into vegan food products? There's nothing wrong with veganism, okay?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not against veganism, but this anti-meat stuff, they're talking about taxing meat, and you never hear them talking about meat as a superfood. It's always a veggie. Just understand there's a lot of money at play here that is anti-meat and anti-animal products. And you can head over to food.lies on Instagram if you want to learn a little bit more. He's actually putting out a documentary which is good to balance out all the chaos, that's going on in the industry. But Faz, when's the last time you heard any meat listed as a superfood?
Right. This is the thing. You don't see it, like I'd say in the circles that we run in, guys like Stan Efferding and this Food Lies fella and yourself are putting out good information to support the idea of meats being just as important alongside everything else. And it's valuable, because you don't want to take a stance where it's like, okay, these foods are just horrendous for you, but they have their own value. So I'd just like to have a balance. I mean, I will say the large majority of my diet could probably be classified as vegan, but then I have maybe 10 to 15% meat, and I quite like my fatty meats. I like my beef, I like my pork, I like my lamb, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's great, because there's nutrients in there which we need too. So yeah, I don't like to exclude any one thing, and I don't like to identify myself as having a particular diet. I just do what I feel supports my blood work, and I think everyone should do that.
Yeah, I'm what you would probably call a plant strong meat eater. That's the way I like to. Yeah, I like to call myself plant strong because, do I get obsessed with it? No. Do I eat like 10 times more plant-based products than the average individual? Probably.
Yeah.
I just like the food.
You and I. Sorry, I think you and I have very similar dietary approaches. We've never discussed it, but I think from looking at your posts, I think we eat in a very similar way.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's dive in. And again, if we miss your questions, sorry. Stein is first in. Always Stein is the first in. He is a wizard. He is the 5-star general of Massive Iron Live. If Massive Iron Live was a stadium, a football stadium or a soccer stadium, there'd be a statue of Stein out, as an all-star. So thank you for your support, Stein. And Benjamin Conway is a long time somebody I've worked with for a long time, and somebody I really value beyond coaching, just as a human being. So thanks for tuning in. Richard Murray from Scotland. I think some places in Australia opened up yesterday or today, but Scotland's still in the midst of a little bit of chaos, I think.
Okay.
Stein, why is it easier to keep strength on legs and pulling exercises, but harder when dieting? And Faz, before we hopped on, you said, I think it's possible to do. It's possibly to do with leverages. Pressing strength tends to be more dependent on overall body weight. Before I let you expand on that, Faz, I will say that as anybody that coaches me or you, one thing we see over and over again when somebody is, not everybody, some people do really well, but or better than you expect. But most people, when they're in a calorie deficit or whatnot, you will see their presses struggle more than anything.
Yeah.
Squats still go down, but the presses get really frustrated.
I think it's in that order as well. Sort of pressing, squatting, deadlifting, as in things which are affected first. I'd say this, Stein, if it is an issue with pressing, I would probably look at, as long as you're, maybe what I tend to do is I give myself a set amount that I think we can afford to lose during the cut. So if we lose, say, 20, 30 pounds, and we lose perhaps 20 pounds maybe or 10 pounds off the bench, that's not a bad trade-off, because pound for pound, you're still as strong or stronger than you were before. So give yourself a set amount and do what you can to hold on to that strength, which might involve doing a bit more bench pressing practice. So maybe benching a couple of times a week. If you're only benching once, mixing up the modalities, doing some low repetition work, some very high repetition work. Do what you can to hold on to that performance. Could even involve having some refeeds, hold on to that performance as much as possible. It will help in the long run. But don't be afraid of losing a little bit of poundage off your lift if it means you lose a lot of body fat, which is the purpose.
Yeah, just focus on what you can control. And I'm going to say something that tends to trigger people when they take it at a just a face value level and they don't dig in. And that's, meal timing is more important when you're on a cut. And I'm not saying, hear me out here. If you're on a cut, you want to make sure that your meal before your workout facilitates the best possible performance. You're not going in flat or feeling tired or glycogen depleted.
Yeah.
And that when you go to bed, you don't go to bed hungry, you have plenty of food volume, you feel really satisfied and really good when you go to bed. That'll help with sleep, and that'll help with mood, and that'll reduce stress. I mean, so you have to be really aware during a cut of moving the pieces around the game board a little bit. Would you agree, Faz?
Yeah, completely. I want to make sure that if I'm sort of 10 to 20 pounds down, or if I'm working with a client and they're 10, 20 pounds down, they're going to feel depleted. Like, it's just a consequence of the diet. But what you want to do in that case is make sure you've got enough fuel to ensure that you are going into the session at least some way, reasonably strong. Also, electrolytes as well. That's something which is overlooked. People ram the water, but they don't salt their food in the middle of a diet because they have this false impression that you're not supposed to salt your diet if you're dieting, but couldn't be further away from the truth. Make sure your electrolytes you're keeping up with those. You've got enough water in you, and you're trying to leverage some of the food before a training session to ensure that you're full, and then the majority of the rest maybe before bed if you struggle with sleep. The rest of the day can be pretty sparse. And in extreme cases, I don't normally recommend it, but this is when you can look at, if you want to really get into the weeds of it, you can start to look at pulling food down on rest days and having food a little bit higher on sort of regular days. One of the things I do with my contest prep clients who get really lean is that I have a large differential between their training days and their non-training days. I know this is maybe getting outside the scope of what you're asking, Stein, for, but let's say a guy's training 3 days a week. Those 3 days may be not even just high, but also higher than maintenance. So they might actually be in a surplus. And the rest of the 3 or 4 days might be a really strong cut where it's just like a PSMF type of deal. That works really well. And that's some of the strategy that I use with my contest prep clients when they're getting really lean, like, 8%, 7%, 6% body fat, because at that point, you've got no energy to go. So you need to be fed. So yeah, just something to bear in mind. There are things you can play around with there, which makes the cut a little bit more efficient. Sounds hard to implement, but it's not that hard. Eat more around your workouts, eat less around your rest days,
Yeah, because of FAS, I've started to test some things with clients when it comes to nutrition and cutting. I got a guy that is real close to a 600-pound deadlift, lost about 50 pounds, and just maintaining that strength. And he does a couple, 2-3 days a week where he does 800 calories, but he's like higher on those training days. And it's, I can't test this with everybody. But with somebody who has balls deep training, to be crude, that really, is just a behemoth. He doesn't, like, some people just aren't affected by calories. They're just going into the gym and they're just tearing it up. So I've had some good luck so far playing around with that with an individual like this.
Yep. Yeah, it works really well. I actually just finished recording a video on very low calorie diets, about a 20-minute video. So that'll be up, well, maybe later today. But yeah, there's a lot of value in thinking outside the box. So yeah, give these things a try. They work.
Mickey Chan, and we could talk forever on low calorie diets and diets just in general, and all the fears. I'm going to lose muscle. I'm going to lose strength, whatever. But how do increase work capacity? Mickey, I got to tell you, I'm going to lead off this one, Faz. There are some people I work with where they've been doing a lot of lower rep stuff, and I put them on more, not high rep stuff, but more normal type of training. And they tend to struggle mentally. Like, my second exercise, I'm so depleted. My third exercise, I'm so depleted. I'm not getting any value out of it, and there's panic. So understand when it comes to programming in something a little bit more reasonable and normal as far as volume, you're going to feel like crap, but you got to ride out that wave. So I would say that's a cornerstone. Just be patient. Don't expect work capacity to improve over like 2 to 3 weeks. Any thoughts in general, Faz?
Yeah, so I do this quite a lot. So I've got a few things that I could say on this. Here's a bit of an analogy before I start. Right, when I go to an all-you-can-eat buffet, I don't know if you can relate to this, Steve. Like, I can go for like an hour, like hard, like plate refill, and then I'm done. Like, I just hit the wall. Now, in that hour, if I hit like 5 plates or if I hit 3 plates, it doesn't matter. But after the hour, I'm done. I can't just sit around for hour after hour and eat. Right, it's in a restaurant. So training's kind of the same. To increase your work capacity, make your workouts, increase the density of your workouts, do more within the hour. I tend to find that most people start to peter out after that hour, assuming they've had a good hard hour and they're not just dossing around. So if you are going to increase your work capacity, if you want to increase the amount of work you do that by condensing your workout. So start to systematically reduce the rest periods while you're increasing the sets, because you don't want to just be there for 90 minutes trying to do 30 sets. Do those 30 sets, in a shorter period of time. That's a practical tip of how to increase work capacity, improve your workout density. You don't need to be resting 3, 4, 5 minutes. You can be resting a lot less. Nowadays, I tend to favor about a 1-minute rest period for some of the accessory work, which sounds really low, but then you look at the training of some of the strongest men and women around the world, like Westside and, whoever else, and people emphasize density. It's only in these short-term laboratory studies that we talk about 2-minute rest periods. So if you want to increase work capacity, do it within the confines of an overall set limit, which is about an hour for a workout. Increase your workout density. In terms of bouts per week, that can change. So you can have more bouts of an hour a week. But first thing is try and pack what you can into that hour and condense your workouts. I tend to find once I hit an hour, I start to peter out no matter what.
Yeah, one thing about training is sometimes you realize you're doing something fast and then you don't, or you're doing something and then like years later you realize, well, that was kind of a thing. One thing I'd always do is, and I didn't realize I was doing it, is I would go in and do my big hitters, and then I would always end up doing like 5 sets of 10 with limited rest on something like seated cable rows. It was my 4th or 5th exercise in, or lat pull downs, or machine chest press, or something like that. I didn't do it on purpose. It's just a habit I developed. I would go in, get my big 3 exercises out of the way. I'd do like a 5x10 with limited rest, and then I'd maybe do a run the rack, run the stack to finish off the energy. So,
I got one more thing to add to that as well. Something that I used to do years ago, but I stopped doing for a long time and I forgot about it. Again, like you're saying, Steve, it's just these things you do and then you forget. And it's something I've started to reintroduce is do more extended warm-ups. So this is something which I've been playing around with recently. So what I used to do back in the day was I would start off doing 3 AMRAP sets of hyperextensions and sit-ups on the same bench, just flip over, right? Sit-up, hyperextensions to failure, sit-ups to failure, and just do that 3 times. Now I've started doing that. I'm doing that again, but I'm doing with glute ham raises, but either way, whatever. Glute ham raises to failure and then sit-ups to failure 3 times, followed by inverted rows, those sort of, you pull yourself up to the bar, and also a little bit of arm work. So that's like a giant set of 4 exercises, all to failure for 3 sets, usually in about sort of 25 to 50 rep range, more like 50. And then I begin my workout. That's a really good way of increasing your work capacity. Just do like a giant set circuit. You're not interested really in how many reps you get. Just go right the way to as many as you can get. There's no particular target weight because you just want to pick a light weight. So, but you can add in just extra work like that really easily, and it helps to build up those areas nicely. So, yeah, it's one of those things I've forgotten, but I've reintroduced to my training, and it's really good.
Scotty Mack. All right, big fella. I think he's talking to you fast. Please give your opinion on the importance of getting things done in terms of training, even if it's limited due to circumstances. Look, this is a big thing. Life, like, we all try to think of lifting and nutrition as perfect, and we don't factor in, we don't plan for the reality of life, stress and work stress and different changes in schedule. Most of my programs that I give to clients are flex schedules. You don't have to work out 3 times a week, and it would be 2, 3, 4, whatever. So you have to understand what variables you can change if circumstances change. I tell clients to build in an extra rest day or 2, you'll be okay. Or if you're really struggling with time or sleep or whatever, go in and do 2 exercises on the compounds and just 1 on isolation. Keep the plane in the air. In the long run, in 4 or 5 years, that's a much better option than not going to the gym at all. Faz, back in the day of muscle and brawn and forums, I would see people go hard, and then disappear for 2 or 3 months. And then they'd come back like, I took time away from the gym. Life kicked me in the balls or whatever. I cannot stress consistency enough, even if it's just keeping the plane in the air.
Yeah. So I want to add something to this because I've had a talk about a client with it this morning. So I want to give you guys the diet side of things, and you can relate it to training as well. So I've got this guy he's come across a problem, and he's already said to me, look, Faz, I can tell this is going to ruin my motivation over the next few months. He's already said it. The problem's not even manifested itself, and he's already said to me, Faz, this is going to ruin me over the next few months. And trust me, guys, without giving away the problem, it's not a big problem. Now, he has a history of yo-yo dieting. So basically what he's doing is exactly what you said, Steve. It's like you'll see him for a few months and then that's it. He's gone. 6 months later, he's going to be about 50 pounds up, and he's been doing that for 2 decades, and he's not aware of it. So when he came to me with this problem, he's like, yeah, Faz, I've got this problem. I know it's going to throw me off the rails over the next few months. He's already making excuses for himself. So the best thing you can do is roll with the punches. Keep your hand in. Do something, even if it's moving to a maintenance diet, reducing your training down to a couple of days a week. I've done that for someone recently. He was training 5 days a week. He had a busy period come up, so I've reduced his training down to 3 days a week. He's enjoying his training more. He's able to get more things done in life. So, adjust the diet if you need to, but like Steve said, just keep your hand in, do something. And if it means you can carry on doing your whole routine just because it was mental, great. If it means you need to pull back a little bit, at least you've still got your hand in.
So regarding this point, Fez, I want to bring something up to you that it's something I've been moving to more and more. As people get heavier, we tend to look at this ominous longer period of time where people are involved in weight loss. And even if some lifestyle changes are there, they can have a little bit of fatigue. But beyond that, one thing you see is people will go hard, and then break. Hard, and then break. And that's maintenance living. They're not losing any weight. So one thing I've been trying to incorporate, and I want your opinion on this, is when people wake up, you're going to wake up on Monday, okay? You're ready to go with the fat loss. I want you to go as hard as you can, as long as you can.
Yes.
And when you're going to break, don't break. Go on maintenance until you feel ready to go hard again. What are your thoughts on that, Faz?
100%. So I did a post months ago now, and it's called my helicopter model of fat loss, right? And it's this idea that you should go hard until it starts to get difficult, and then maintain for a while. I think that fat loss should be stairs rather than like a smooth ride down. Go hard, drop the weight, because when you're in a fat loss phase and you wake up in the morning and you see the scale and it's down, everyone feels good, right? Like, we all know that feels pretty good. You get that positive affirmation again. So go hard and then break. If that means you can do the old, do you remember the old Dan Duquesne approach of going hard for 4 weeks and then maintaining for 2, going hard for 4, maintaining for 2? I've used that as well with clients. It works really well. Build in these periods. So whether you're doing like the daily hard and then easy, or the weekly hard and easy, just get it done. So you can avoid this diet burnout. And it's the same with training, So yeah, like go hard in spurts, but when you do go hard, really go hard, because it builds motivation. It's kind of what I was saying in the VLCD video, which it'll be out soon as well. But no, I'm a big fan of that, Steve. I'm a huge fan of that. And that's personally, when I do my next contest prep, and I'm probably going to compete again next year, I'm probably going to do the same thing. I'm going to use fasting. I'm going to go hard on the diet with VLCDs, and then I'm going to maintain for long periods of time. And I may well do like a 2-week diet, 2-week maintenance type of approach. Not because it's scientifically better, but because it's psychologically much more sustainable to get down to those really low body fat percentages. I'm a huge fan of that, Steve. Love it.
Yeah, the body comes and goes, like we come and go. And there's so many factors in life, stress and sleep and motivation and whatever. But the big thing is when you break, not to go buffet, but just to go to maintenance. You got a few extra calories. You're a little bit better shape. And, alternatively, Faz, if we look at bulking, I've been kind of moving to to a similar approach where so many guys come to us, and they're heavier than they used to be. So I'll be like, we can still bulk. We can still do a pound to a pound and a half a month. Mm-hmm. Do that for 3-4 months. You've added 4 to 5 pounds of body weight, and then do a little bit of a cut. It'll take you like 2 weeks, boom, and so often we can get back. So we can kind of slowly recomp over time. Yeah. Where, say, somebody comes to you, they're 210, we can go hard for 3-4 months, take a little bit of a break for a month, desensitize your body with training, hold steady, don't do anything crazy, get the fat off real quick for quick hit and run, boom, 10, 14-day fat loss phase and get back at it. So I've been kind of moving towards that in the bulking world as well.
Yeah. Love it. Great approach. I mean, I can give you my example of that. I finished a mini cut 6 months ago, and I am 3 kilos up. So it's about, like 6 or 7 pounds over the course of 6 months, which is really slow. I mean, that's very slow, but it's great. Like, I'm going to do a mini cut now again at the start of November, just leading up to Christmas for about 5 or 6 weeks, and just pull off all that fat. And it's going to be great because I've spent the majority of the year in a surplus. So, yeah, I think it's a great approach. And the main thing is just to reemphasize what Steve said, and I do it with my clients as well. Don't go nuts in the maintenance period. Don't go nuts in the lean bulking period. Just keep it slow, keep it steady. Whether you're maintaining or whether you're lean bulking, just keep it slow and steady. Don't go nuts. It's just too much work to diet off later.
So, Paul, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. And, before I get into Paul's comment question, I want you guys to try something because I'm curious. I'm curious how YouTube will respond. I'm going to ask you to donate money, okay? And I'm not asking you to donate $10, but try donating a nickel. And like for guys, there's Mickey Chan is saying their comments are being deleted. I want you guys to test something. Just test it. I'll pay you back. I don't care. I'll pay you back the nickel or dollar. But if you're having a comment removed, I want you to try just donating a nickel with that same exact comment and see if YouTube lets you in the door. I'm just curious. So, and if you do it, I'll send you a book for free, just for your trouble, right? For your nickel. Now I'm going to get 100 people sending a nickel. Paul, on third week of your week 6 bench cycle, should calorie intake stay the same on week 5 and 6? I mean, yeah, I wouldn't mess with things at all. It's a lighter. What we're trying to do on a bench cycle is get the bench up. And as Faz and I mentioned earlier, calories are very important when you're trying to get your bench up. So I 100% would. After you're done with the hard work and you're kind of in a tweener stage, your body's still recovering for a week. You want to kind of continue that motivation. So to piggyback on that, what we just said about lean bulking, a pound and a half a month, calorie intake should be pretty consistent. You're not going to get fat. So absolutely. Chad, how's it going? Chad, thanks for joining in. Paul, we addressed that earlier. Sorry. And Stein gave you the old thumbs up. And again, my comment being removed 3 times also. It's YouTube 100%.
Yeah, you can repost it, guys. I mean, trust me, when Steve and I do these lives, we're just sat here doing them like we haven't got time to be deleting comments. So.
Yeah, and it's super frustrating for us because to know that 25% of our comments, we don't get to see, and that sends people away. And why YouTube can't fix it, I don't know. Felix from Colorado. Felix is here every week. Thank you. Neo as well. Thank you, Neo. Nicholas Ingrata. How do I deal with torn rotator cuff? AC joining from. What's ABS? Torn rotator cuff.
Maybe and. He means and. He's writing on the phone.
Yeah, AC joining. I don't know. I mean, from a training standpoint, when you get an injury, you got to kind of just adapt. You have to work around and do what you can do. When I tore my shoulder once, Faz lifting an empty oil drum, just an empty oil drum. It was just a routine lift.
Yeah.
And there were some things I could do and some things I couldn't do. So first thing you do is consult with your doctor. And second thing is do what you can do and do it hard. I don't really know what to add to that because I don't want to step out of my lane.
Yeah, it's difficult to answer these questions, Nicholas, because we don't know how you did it. What the circumstances were. We don't know what your stage of recovery is right now. But listen, as a very general rule, this is kind of what I say. I say, firstly, rest, get the all clear from your doctor. Once your doctor's giving you the clear to start lifting again, then identify what in your program was giving you some problems in the first place. Try and replace that. Have a professional, have like me or Steve, look at your form so we know what is perhaps going wrong. Have a look at your programming so we can try and help you with that as well. And then it's a case of strengthening what was torn down, because ultimately, weak things break, to quote Louis Simmons, and you've got to make sure you're getting things stronger. It's very general, again, without knowing your circumstances.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you guys, just as a side note, one of the things I always try to do, and one of the things I teach people that are getting into social media and the YouTube world is stay in your lane. Know what you know and know what you don't know. And the things you don't know, don't be an expert on. I don't know anything about this, Nicholas, so I'm not being dismissive. I know how to train around general injuries. So I just want you to know I care, but I'm not going to give you some bullshit answer.
Yeah.
All right, Stein, that is great. No, Neo said Stein, that is a great question. We got the Desert Jackal. Right on, Faz, and BHUD. Thanks for joining in. Richard Murray from Scotland. Hi, guys. Loving the
Hey.
Wizard ebook from
Awesome.
Faz and loving being part of Team Massive. Any info from you guys is pure gold. Thank you for your support.
I
It
appreciate
means
that. Thank you.
Yeah. So sorry, Faz. Faz, where can they find the Wizard ebook?
Yeah, it's on my website, fazlifts.com. So it's the routine that I did when I first got involved in bodybuilding. It was something that I got taught from Casey Butt, Dr. Casey Butt. If you remember him, he's the guy who did the muscle potential things. And he taught me, he took his time out. He was a really great guy. He took his time out and explained to me how to put together full body routines. And it was awesome. Like, it was great. And so I ran them for like 3 years before I got back into powerlifting. And I got really strong running them and I got really great results. So that was like 3 years of experience piled into that ebook. So yeah, it's great. And I do a similar thing like even now. It's just a really, really great way to train.
You know, I'm going to remove this for a bit. Over at muscleandstrength.com when I was there, this is my interview. It's listed as M&S writers, but whatever. You know, I did a 3-part interview with Casey Butt, and all of them are here on Muscle and Strength. Just search Muscle and Strength and Casey Butt. There's a wealth of information. For those of you that don't know Casey Butt, when I mention his name, you get the ha-ha butt. Yeah, we get it. Okay, it's a butt joke. Okay. But the dude can't help what, you know, his family history, right? But I had to say back in the day, he was well ahead of the curve.
Oh, he was so good. Stuff. Yeah.
And a lot of the foundational stuff I learned was from this gentleman, Natural Potential, structuring workouts. And there aren't many people that I put on this iconic level, but he is one of them, and somebody you'll never hear about. And I don't even know what he's doing today. This was this was 2000. This was 10 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, that interview was amazing. If you guys have not checked it out, check out part 2 of that interview. It is so great. Like, he goes right into training. But yeah, Casey's a really nice guy as well. I mean, he's jacked too. He used to be super fat. He got absolutely shredded. Yeah, he's an absolute rock star. If he at some point he was looking to release a book, or at least write one, but I think, like a lot of us, he just realized it's a very big project, so he's not got around to it. But yeah, he was way ahead of his time. Great guy.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad for me that he didn't get more play, or that people didn't take him seriously.
You can have the daycare center.
Oh my goodness! Oh,
they're driving me crazy.
Okay.
They are. They're like wrestling and biting.
Okay.
And he keeps biting.
He misses me. This is my dog. You can tell he misses me a little bit. This is Mr. Snoops. This is P. Snizzle, the Snoop rapper. No, he sleeps by me every night.
Yeah.
He missed me. I got you, Snoops. I got you. All right, there we go.
I'm going to leave the door open because I'm going to go and get my thing done.
Okay, go get your thing done.
Bye.
Bye, Bubba. All right.
Boys, they can just I'm sick of them.
All right, best way to ease back into the gym. Build up the immune system on track with nutrition after being out for a few weeks due to illness. Okay, so I have a video on YouTube. If you go to the main page, how to get back into training. Just search how to get back into training. But in general, when somebody's sick, what I tell them is, when you feel good to go, and this is just my opinion, and it's not the only way to do things. When you feel good to go, take one more extra day, hydrate, sit around eating some extra carbs, get your electrolytes in, get some extra sleep, and then get back in the next day. And just be really cautious. You know, if you've been out of the gym for longer than a week, you want to be super cautious. Listen to your body during warm-ups. Maybe go a little bit lighter in volume or intensity. Anything to add to that, Faz?
Yeah, I mean, just take it slow. I'll tell you a story. There was a guy who came back from, after the events of last year, he went back to the gym, decided to test his bench press strength. First time he's trained in like 6 months. Went up to 3 plates, popped his pec right off the bone. Boom.
Yep.
So, and the crazy thing is, I actually made a post about not doing that 2 weeks prior, so he didn't listen. But he's a guy from my hometown, so yeah, just don't be attached to big numbers. Just maybe do some light sets of 10, build up slow, and just take it easy. You've got plenty of time to get back on it. Don't make it another few weeks out through injury.
I want to say something, and I want you guys to remember this. And I've said it many times, but it's something that flies over everyone's head, and they're like, "Oh, okay, whatever." The body is more than muscle, and lifting is more than just muscle. You have your immune system, and you have your connective tissue, and those are more critical when you're getting back into training than a muscle.
Yeah.
Like, you ever get back into training, you've been out for a while, and you just go hard for a day, and then you're sick the next day, like you just crushed your immune system or overloaded your body. Like the story Faz just told, I'm not worried about your muscles. I'm worried about your connective tissue.
Yeah.
So ease into things. If you have the muscular strength to do so, that does not mean your connective tissue and the other systems of your body are ready to do so.
Yeah.
So be careful. Stein, have you ever tried myo reps in your training?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Everything.
Yeah, I mean, I like rest pause stuff. It's good. I like the higher rep rest pause stuff that Borger recommends for sure. I've done it. I think the thing with my reps is it's a slightly higher rep lead-in set, and then the subsequent sets aren't taken to failure. So it's a fairly standardized rep scheme, whereas something like a dog crap rest pause is lower reps, and the reps tend to fall off because he has a lot more failure training. I think my reps is pretty cool. I like it. I think you combine that with short rest periods overall, you get quite a nice training effect because you're just getting a lot of good reps in. So yeah, I've done it in the past with like isolation exercises. Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, some of this really depends on exercise per exercise. Is myo reps a thing where you're doing like singles after you do the big first set?
It's like 15 and then like 15, then 4, 4, 4. So you're not going to failure and you're doing much higher reps. Think of it as like better for like curls, extensions, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, there was some protocol where you'd be doing like singles every 20 seconds or something. I forget what that is. But I remember somebody advocating that back in the day on squats, and like you spend more time racking and unracking. Like that's more work than actually doing the squat.
Yeah.
Rory Hansen. Hey guys, favorite exercise for the long head of the Tricepticons, Faz?
It's like barbell overhead extension. Those tend to be pretty good. I found, but I'll be honest, Rory, like I found when the first time I started to do those overhead extensions, I was super strong on them just from doing a lot of close grip bench pressing. So I don't know, like I could do 60 kilos on the barbell extension when I was benching 4 plates. So like, I don't know. But then I'm a very tricep dominant bench presser. So yeah, I guess overhead work, and combined with very, very good bench form where your elbows are tucked. I guess that's my answer.
So any suggestions, Faz, for the fat, older, beefy guy that can't get something behind their head?
Well, I'm there with you now. So what I do is
that out there. Right?
Yeah, because like 10 years ago I could do that, but I can't now, so it's not comfortable. So what I do is I'd use an incline bench. So I'm laid down, and then basically about as far up I can get about there comfortably. And so that I match it. So the incline means I'm about 45 degrees, so my arms point up. So yeah, just doing them on an incline tends to work well.
When I was younger, I did a lot of single, double arm extensions and French presses and things like that. And, but now that I'm older, not a chance. Although if I post it on the internet, I'll get 274 comments telling me I need more mobility work. No.
Yeah, I need 20 years back is what I need.
Yeah. I'm welded in place. When I fall during a run, I fall like a steel beam.
Yeah.
I hear Stewie and Family Guy, maybe from one of my silly voices earlier. Desert Jackal, BHUD, you're a great interviewer. Thank you kindly.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your past on last several podcasts. Shows you and others are really concerned for others. Thank you for being real. I appreciate that. And I got to tell you, it's weird listening to yourself. You never get used to it, listening to yourself, and you're always hypercritical. But I appreciate that. I'm well aware of my little tics when I speak, like repeating myself. But I sincerely appreciate everybody's support and your support of the podcast.
You know what I like about your interviewing style, Steve, is you really delve in with your own examples, so it keeps the conversation going. You're not one of those guys who just asks question after question after question. You expand on what somebody said, you give your own example about it, and it feels more like a conversation between two people rather than just an interviewer versus an interviewee, if that makes sense. I like that.
Yeah, it does. One of the things I'm trying to do with the podcast is do something a little bit different. Like, I have a couple things I want to talk about, but what I do when we're talking is I take notes, and like I just want to talk about what we're talking about, more like Joe Rogan style, no agenda. Yeah. Let's just open it up a little bit and see what happens. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. The challenge is finding people who want to be on, to be honest with you.
I really like the one with Alex from After Destiny, and I enjoyed the one with I think it's Brian from Food Lies.
Yeah,
those are probably my favorite two right now. I thought they were great podcasts for different reasons, but the flow of conversation with both those guys was really good.
The one I got coming out on Monday with Freaky D is just spectacular. We talk about bench press arches. We talk about something you and I talked about, and something Alpha Destiny and I talked about, in that none of us really are overly focused with super 800 form Q tightness on bench. We just got, it's a good. So tune in on Monday. That's really good. I appreciate Freaky D being on. Charlie Gavin. Looking good, Charlie. Ripped, muscular. Hey, man, what's your favorite unilateral variations compounds?
Pretty much the only thing I do unilateral right now, Charlie, is rows and single leg work. Like I do a single leg press because I find that to be just really effective for double leg work. It has a lot of transfer to squats and leg presses. So honestly, that's the only thing I do personally. I don't tend to program in much unilateral stuff for clients unless they specifically need to for injuries, just because I'm more of a volume guy in a sense, because I prefer to ramp up the volume a little bit higher than do specific work on. I just find it takes double the time for not as much reward. So that's my stance on it, Charlie.
Unilateral work can have benefits, but it can be tedious because you have to do twice the amount of sets. A lot of times I tend to move clients to 2 sets of dumbbell rows. Over the years, I moved myself to 1 set of 15s or 20s. And dumbbell rows are extremely taxing from a cardiovascular standpoint when you get to that level as well. Yeah. But I love dumbbell rows, Charlie. I love lunges. And one thing I like is alternating dumbbell bench and alternating dumbbell overhead press. I'm not really sure if you consider those unilateral, but I really like those two movements, and they're rarely talked about. And I just find them enjoyable. What am I missing here? Legs, shoulders. I don't know.
Do you do anything for the chest, like unilateral stuff for the chest? I don't.
Other than the alternating dumbbell bench, no.
Oh, right, yeah.
But I would work that in quite a bit when I was, kind of age 46 to 50. I was using it quite a bit.
Well, here's one for you, Charlie, that I do like. I like unilateral arm work, because I tend to find with arm work, you've really got to brace your body, because far too many other muscles can take control of the movement. Like if you're doing a bicep curl, my biceps are relatively weak, and so I want to really brace everything to allow me to focus on the biceps. So I tend to do stuff like single arm preacher curls. So if I'm going to do any kind of isolation, it's probably going to be on very, very small areas so that nothing else can interfere. There you go.
ZCP24, loving the crazy Russian program. Add 10 kilograms of my squat and improve my depth. Great, glad to hear it. Faz, I got a program called Drunk Russian. I'm not sure if you ever heard of it.
Yeah.
But basically, one day I woke up and said, for 5 days a week, I'm going to train every body part for 1 or 2 sets. I'm going to vary the movements. I'm going to vary the rep ranges. And I would squat every day.
Nice.
So I'd lead off the fun with a squat or end with a squat. And I just did it for fun. And I found that it was enjoyable. and that I recovered really well. My joints felt better than ever. I think because I was doing less sets, but they were harder. It was hard. So it's a fun little workout for someone that wants to work out 5 days a week and not have the same old crap. All right, Charlie, and any strongman exercises that you would like to practice? How about you?
Well, I mean, when I did strongman, I've done strongman competitions in the past. It was mostly a case of you've got to ramp up your practice on the lifts that you're going to be doing at the competition. In the UK, we've got a very well organized strongman scene. So the list of competitions are out. You know what you're going to be competing in. So about 6 to 8 weeks prior, you can just start to practice on the lifts that you're going to be getting tested on. But prior to that, it's just general strength training, really. In terms of what I really enjoy personally, I like farmers walks. I enjoy them. The last strongman show I did was I lifted the back end of a car loaded with rocks up. I think it was 26 times in, I want to say 3 minutes. Yeah, something like that. That was pretty cool. That was fun. So I guess, car lifting and farmers walks were probably my favorite. Yeah.
So before I move forward, I got a bunch of people down the line that donated money. And I want, please do this. Email me at bendthebarman@gmail.com or Instagram. Send me an Instagram message at bendthebarman. Anybody that donated, I want to give you something for that. So please either email me at bendthebarman@gmail.com or head over to Instagram, slide into my DM and give me your email and I'll hook you guys up. Felix had a 14-ounce ribeye for dinner last night and a baked potato. That's good.
Nice.
I'll roast a lamb for you guys. Thanks, Neo. I made chili this week with bison, lamb, and beef.
Nice.
A little trifecta of micronutrients.
Yeah, my kind of stuff. Anything with that? Yeah, some beans and stuff.
It was a chili cook-off. I entered my first chili cook-off. I'm not sure.
No, really? Oh, nice.
You guys have those in the UK? I know you're obsessed with curry.
You know what, dude? I love my chilies, but I've never been in a chili cook-off. But yeah, I'd love to be on one. Was it like beans, sweet corn, stuff like that?
Mine had black. I know beans are controversial in the States, but mine had black beans and
love black beans.
Some green salsa and just some good stuff.
Nice.
I was nervous the night before because I'm like, I don't think this tastes great. But it took second place out of like 10, so I did all right.
That sounds great, dude. Yeah.
I ate like half it. And I gotta say this, like things like chili, people are looking for like meal prep.
Yeah.
And chili is like super healthy. You got like vegetables and meat. You don't have to even add black beans, but man, it's some good stuff, and you can eat that all day long.
You can freeze it, you can prep it, it goes with everything. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes in the meal prep box, we don't step out of it a little bit. And what's going on, Park? Glad to see you back. It's been a while. BKS Gaming, how's it going?
Okay.
Paul X, my ankles have lost a lot of mobility due to surgery. What's the best leg exercise for legs for me? It's impossible for me to keep my heels down during standard squats. Okay, so I'm going to go check on my dogs because my wife left. But before I do so, before I make a 20-second exit, there's a red flag here for me, Paul. And that's your heels coming up during squats. Now, I'm not saying you necessarily should do squats, but as Faz will attest, and as somebody that works in looking at squat form, that's usually caused by bad squat form. Knees forward with toes out, or toes forward. This is very rare, but toes forward and knees out. So something's going on. So if you want somebody to look at that aspect, Paul, before you rule out squats, please send me a video. Faz, I'll be back in 2 seconds. I'll let you roll with the rest of this.
Right. So, Paul, offers open for me as well, by the way. You can DM me a video on at FazLifts on Instagram. Now, what I would suggest is, how about working on a box? Like, box squats are a very, very good variation if you don't have a great deal of flexibility in either your hips or your ankles. So you can get up down to a parallel box with a lot less flexibility requirements than it does take to get into a free squat. So try it on a box. But yeah, before you do that, email or like send one of us a video of you squatting and just kind of see. We can have a look and maybe take a look at your form. But yeah, I suggested, Steve, a box squat would probably be a pretty good idea. The flexibility requirements for a box squat are far less than a regular squat. Also, if you are struggling with mobility, maybe some pain, it'll help you at least adjust the height of the box downwards so you can eventually redevelop that flexibility. But as long as the doctor's giving you the all clear and it looks okay, I think that's probably a safe way of doing it. Just try and get the height of the box and just pump it down a little bit over the course of time. And let the training build your flexibility.
All right. Paul goes on to say, my feet are beyond shoulder width to be able to keep my heels down.
Fine. It's fine. Yeah.
All right, Nicholas. The gym makes feel better when I'm bored and lonely. I mean, look, we live in a world where everything is plugged in at all times, phones, and you can't escape. There used to be rules in life like don't call somebody after 8 p.m. Don't call too early in the morning. But as a business owner, and my wife's a small business owner, we get a lot of people, Faz, that especially my wife, people will be like messaging her at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And asking her questions. And there's just like no limits. So making anything where you can get in and do something for yourself and be around other people doesn't hurt as well.
Yeah. I mean, my first knee-jerk reaction to your statement there was like, I never get lonely. Sometimes I wish I was more lonely. I get people bugging me all the time. I mean, I live in a pretty small city. So whenever I go somewhere, people kind of know I compete in bodybuilding and all that kind of stuff. Been around for a while, so people know. So I'm always getting people coming up and talking to me, which is nice. It's cool. But I don't really get the loneliness thing. Jim, if anything, Jim makes me want to put my hoodie up and not talk to people.
Yeah, I don't know. There's kind of a synergy there. I won't lie. When I'm lifting, I want to be left alone because that's my time. And I have a hard time lifting with someone because I just want them to go away. I really like Faz, a lot of people, when I worked at Tiger Fitness, we had a private gym and people would stop by from all over the country and they'd be on vacation. I'd stop in to see the Tiger Fitness gym and I'd have to train with people. And I'm like, oh, God. I love you guys, but it's like, this is going to sound really silly and crude, but it's like being forced to have sex with somebody you don't even know. You're like, okay, this is over with.
I think I can lift with a lot of with some guys who have lifted probably about the same time as I have, because when I lift with them, I imagine with you, Steve, it's like we'd lift, we'd almost know what each other's wants to do. We could communicate minimally on weight increases, but that's about it. That's it. And I will talk to you all day long after a training session is over. Then it's my time to relax and unwind. But I can't go from joking around to then just smashing a set. I'm just in it. Once I'm in it, that hour, I'm in the zone. I'm not aggressive or anything. I'm just focused. And I think, yeah. So I don't train with anyone right now, just because I've never had somebody who can consistently give me that real just focus for an hour.
You ever train with a powerlifting group, Fast? I mean, if somebody wants an experience, that's what you need to experience. There's no fucking around. It's let's get down to business. You aren't chit chatting in between sets. It's like your turn, go, your turn, go, your turn, go. And the sessions tend to be maybe 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours, but every second is moving. And, you're either spotting or you're lifting or you're loading or whatever.
We had a group about 10 years ago where I did, a lot of decent lifts. We were all about 3 to 4 plate benches. We were all about 5 to 6 plate deadlifters or more. And it was the guy who kind of led the group. He had a tight rotation of people lifting orders. So you would lift, you would unload, you would spot, and it was all done really tightly. And that was perfect for me because you just go you just keep going around. It's great. It's great. We kind of got away from your original question, Nicholas. But
yeah, that's okay. Neo, similar. It really helps with depression. Yeah, depression is an interesting thing. Sometimes we're trapped too much in a box by ourselves. And I'm not trying to cure anybody's depression, but being out, just walking downtown with other people, seeing life, seeing things, new sights, new sounds, new experiences, that helps a little bit. Getting out of your box.
Yeah.
One thing that helps sometimes as well is like if we sit at home in our jams, not showering and not getting out, we get in a rut. Dressing up, showering, taking care of yourself, those things are all things that can help. And getting out of the house and even going to the gym, you have to do that as well. And one thing that really, really helps, I hate to say really, really helps with depression, but it's having a servant's attitude. Sometimes we're so inner focused in life, like me, my problems, me, my problems, me, my problems.
Yeah.
But when you do something, when you go to the gym or you spot somebody or you open the door for somebody or you just have a moment of kindness. When I was coaching Special Olympics, it was like this every week. You're doing something for others. It makes you feel like your life has purpose and you stop thinking about yourself for a while.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
definitely. 100% agree.
All right, Dan. Just be a noob and your presses will go up while you lose weight. Yeah. Faz, I got to tell you a quick story. I had a guy, his young Hispanic gentleman by the name of David. He came to me. He was a local guy, never touched a barbell before, was 5'6", 220. David was a little chubby bubby, right? Little chubby bunny.
I'll be right back.
Okay. So David came to me and had never touched a barbell. And after like 6 months, he had lost like 60 pounds, had a squat up to 315 by 5, and was benching like 225 by 5. Just a freak.
Right. Nice. It's great progress.
All right. Nicholas, even if I don't make significant gains at the gym, people seem to ignite the mental health benefits of weight.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I think we had a lot of that, during the issues last year. We had a lot of that because I don't think people really understood the importance of the mental health benefits of lifting weights. I think that was kind of discounted, not to get it, too political, but yeah, it's huge, Nicholas. Like it's massive. It really makes you feel good, releases those endorphins, all that kind of stuff. And I think for a lot of people, you know what I likened it to, Steve? I like going to the gym. We're talking about going to the gym and not talking to anyone. It's in England, we get a lot of these old guys who sit in the pubs and they sit nursing a pint. They'll sit there and they won't talk to anyone, but they like being there. They like being around the people, right? You're not going to speak to them. They're not going to speak back to you. And I have friends like this as well, older friends, and we'll go to the pub and we'll just sit and look at a drink and we won't talk much, but it's just nice to have the company. Being at the gym is like that for a lot of people. I go there, I don't want to speak to anyone, but I feel good being around people and just seeing them get after it. And yeah, I think there's definitely something to that, Nicholas, for sure.
When it comes to motivation, I've been asked many years, I've been asked many times over the years, what can I do with motivation? And one of the things you can do is focus on cultivating motivation. Cultivating requires daily practices and habits, and being around other people that are doing the same thing helps with sustaining a lifestyle. And back in the day when we were on Muscle and Brawn, a forum, you get up every day and you're around like-minded people. It builds you up.
Yeah.
And now I have a similar thing called Team Massive, and you can join Faz for $99, one lifetime fee, but it's to keep the riffraff out, but it's kind of the same thing. We gather every day and we there's no stress, there's no tension, there's just a good family. So get up every day, watch a YouTube video, read an article, start your day off right. In religious circles, and I don't want to get into religion, but in religious circles, a lot of people get up every day and they read from their book, or they read from something, a daily whatever.
Yeah.
So you kind of do that with lifting. Ground
Yeah.
yourself in the morning with your goals.
Absolutely, definitely. And the support network idea is so important, because back in the day, there used to be loads of forums around, and we would just log our training session. So at least 3 or 4 times a week, you would have something to say.
Right.
And that was nice. You just kind of kept your hand in. So right now, I just have a group of friends who I just chat to every now and again, just kind of informally, just drop them a word, and it's nice because it just helps to keep those things in. We ask each other questions about our training, and it feels good.
Well, what feels good for me is being able to talk with Faz on these live videos, because being able to work with other coaches is such a huge blessing, and it's very rare to do. It's not something you get to do often.
Yeah.
So I learn from Faz. I'm sure he learns from me. We sometimes when things align that we talk about, it really helps me understand. Because sometimes I program things or do things and I don't always understand them. It's just kind of the way it works. But it's like that with lifting as well, or healthy habits, being around other people, seeing them do the same things, learning, etc.
We're actually working on a nutrition seminar, aren't we, Steve? So that's the next thing we're going to be looking at. So we've been writing some notes upon that. So we're looking to offer that for you guys. But that's another thing where we can exchange ideas and come together on things, which I think I'm really excited about. I think it's going to be good. So.
Yeah, we're going to get that shortly. I've been a little bit distracted because my wife is having minor surgery on Monday. Okay. Nothing big, just minor, but we've been just kind of preparing for that because her business has to shut down for a week. Devrim Karadag. Love the link ups between you two. Thank you. My question is, I've been implementing the stop-start tricep extensions, and they're working for me, but I've had to tell people to keep the tension involved. I've had people telling me to look, 9 times out of 10, somebody that's like, gotta keep the tension is like, that's the only thing they know how to say, right?
Yeah.
They don't. Consistency, progressive overload, 90% of it. Just control. Like for me, Faz, when you're lifting, I want to see you control the weight up, not slow the weight up, but be in control of the weight, so it's not doing that to you.
Yeah.
So,
you know what?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know what, Devrim? I had a conversation with another content creator. I forget who it was, but it's just this idea that if it works for you, keep it. You don't need a study to back it up. You don't need someone to tell you that it's good. There's a lot of value in just saying, look, you know what, guys, I can't explain it, but this bloody well works for me, because like the state of hypertrophy research over the last 10 years is confusing, for want of a better, a less controversial term. So there's a lot of value in just saying, you know what, guys, it bloody well works for me. Leave me alone. Right? There's now more than ever. There's a lot to be said for that. Just saying, look, it works for me. And if it's genuinely working for you, Devrim, you keep on doing it. You don't need justification or studies or anything like that. All right. So you keep doing.
Yeah, like 99.9% of guys that are successful, they go into the gym, they love what they do, and they rip shit up.
Yeah.
And they evolve their programming based along the way, what they like, what they don't like. And enjoyment's a huge part of this. So don't overcomplicate this stuff, guys. Yeah. Really don't. Just, Faz, you mentioned a while back, I'm not sure when we were talking about this, but it's so very important. When I had my best gains and when you had your best gains, we lived it, we breathed it, we went to sleep thinking about it. We woke up to take a piss in the middle of the night thinking about it. It was all consuming. It was a passionate fire. It's just, I don't know. If you don't have it, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and if you love those tricep extensions and you're getting results from, don't let anyone take that away from you. Just keep doing it, dude. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe you don't need tension.
At the end of the day, it's just a fucking exercise, kids. It's just a fucking exercise. It's not going to start strife in the Middle East. It's not going to break up your marriage. It's just a fucking exercise. And if you like doing it, do it.
Yeah.
All right, Timothy. Morning, gents. How's it going? Sorry, Nicholas. I don't know what that's in reference to. Hey, Bill Monte. How's it going, Bill?
Yeah.
I don't seem to gain reps or rep quality resting longer. So for now, I'm sticking to 30-minute rest. So the only thing I'd say, Sebastian, is just have some fluidity on a daily basis. I'm not telling you not to stick to 30 seconds, but just kind of leave some room for feel. That's all.
Yeah, Sebastian, what are you doing for 2 hours, dude? Like, that's a long workout. So one, what are you doing for 2 hours? Second thing is, are you gaining strength? Like, you should be, provably be gaining strength on a week by week, month by month basis, even if it's just a rep or two here and there. If you're not doing that, then you're going to be hard pressed to see progress. So while you might be burning off some calories and et cetera, if you're not actually gaining reps, then there's something wrong there, especially if you're working out for 2 hours. Sebastian, why don't you DM me on like Instagram at Fazlifts? Just let me see your program. Write out your program for me. Let me have a look at it and let me see if I can put you in the right direction. But if you're really not gaining any strength, if that's what you're saying, then we got to fix that, dude.
Camel Artist. Excuse me, I lost my voice. Talking about warm-ups, please refer to Chris Duffin's warm-up exercises, or you could refer to our warm-up protocol.
Yeah, I'm not aware of Chris Duffin's warm-up.
Yeah. I'm being dismissive. I just don't know anything about it.
No,
I'm very leery about warm-up protocols, and nothing against Chris Duffin. I mean, if you like it, go with it. But
yeah.
Faz, how many times have you seen like overly extensive, overly blah 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 warm-up protocols? And like people ask me, what do you do for warm-up for running? I get out of the car. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying you don't need warm-up protocols, but man, you really need to temper this stuff a little bit because some of it's way, way overstressed.
I did a post on one of your videos, Steve. I think it was the Facebook one, talking about the foam rolling craze of 10 years ago. People would foam roll for 20 minutes, stretch for 10 minutes, and then they'd be ready to work out. It's like you just wasted half an hour. But Camel Artist, I think you were referring to when I said I was doing glute ham raises, sit-ups, inverted rows, and some arm stuff. That's not for a warm-up, dude. Like, I'm doing that to add extra work in. So I think maybe I wasn't clear about that or whatever, but that's not a warm-up per se. I do it before my session for extra workload for those areas because I want to build up those areas. They are what I feel we are holding back some of my lifts. So it's not a warm-up per se. But then again, I'm not familiar with Chris Duffin's work. So,
I don't want to sound dismissive or like an asshole because sometimes – the only thing I'm really trying to do is have you guys be careful because, there are some guys that have come to me that are completely feel like they have to do things. And that's why I made the face pull video. Like, you have to do them. Like, no, you don't have to do them. You don't ever have to do a face pull. But like, I got to do prehab. I got to do rehab. I got to do this shoulder special thing. I got to do McGill's Magic 3. I got to do foam rolling. I got to do yoga. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do contrast showers. Like, good God, man, where do you find time to do all this stuff?
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff out there.
And, sometimes people ask me to, like, what do I think of this program or this person's view on exercises? I don't consume a lot of content on YouTube, which is fitness related. Like, I look at some gaming stuff. I always watch Steve's videos. And I look at some stuff. Yeah. And I look at when they feature me.
I do watch fast video. You're the only one I watch on YouTube other than, I don't know.
I watch some of Jeffrey's stuff.
What's that?
I watch some of Jeffrey's stuff.
I watch him and you, and then I peek in to see what Doucette's running his yap hole about every day.
Yeah, it's hard for me to keep up. Like, I'm so busy with work and stuff, so I have to make my videos, I have to do the podcasts and keep up with my clients. So, yeah, I just don't do a lot of it. And you got to remember as well, like me and Steve, a lot of the stuff that we know it works. We've been doing it for 10, 20 years. So we do like to be in touch with other coaches, but usually it's like maybe coaches we talk to on a regular basis that can teach us things. We're not out on YouTube scouring the YouTubes for information on like how to build a squat. We know how to build a squat. Each of us have squatted a lot of weight, so we're just not in that phase of our life. We've kind of done all that. If we are talking to other coaches, it's people we know in the industry who we're bouncing ideas off. So it's kind of a different thing, you know.
Yeah, I want to talk to somebody, and Fez, I talked about this a little bit before. I want to talk to somebody that I can learn things from. We can share ideas. Because there's some people like Lane Norton, you know, at one point I tried to give him squat tips, and he probably never remembered because everybody's trying to give him squat tips, but you can't. It's like trying to ram your head into a brick wall. You ain't getting in, you know. Some coaches are like that. And a good coach, you know, you can actually sit down with and talk and learn. So it's hard to find a good coach where you can just share, you know. And Nigel, I find going in with a solid plan wrote out helps. Never wing it. Never wing it.
Yeah.
Everything needs you. How do you be successful in life? How do you reduce stress? How do you create efficiency? Have a plan. Have a plan. Have a plan. Do you have to follow the plan? No. There was one thing I read way back in the day, Faz, about children, and that children that were raised in structure felt more comforted and comfortable and happy. Chaos is chaos. And if you, like clients, will say, have a plan, just write down some soft rules for the weekend, you know, so.
Totally agree.
Wing it. That's what you're going to get. You're just going to get the results of winging it.
Definitely.
Soy, sauce, nanner. Best exercise for men who want to grow glutes but don't want to do hip thrust. I hate hip thrusts. I ain't even going to lie.
Yeah, they're a pain to set up. I never do hip thrusts for that reason. I don't want to drag the bar over to the bench and the bench over to here. For me, soy sauce banana, I do a lot of glute ham raises. And I train 4 days a week right now, and I do glute ham raises 4 days a week. So, and hyperextensions, they're great. So, yeah, I like those.
You know, Faz, there's a thing like fatigue from loading barbells. When you get to a certain point where you loading your squats and you're loading your bench and you're loading your RDLs and you're loading your shrugs, and then you got to load a damn hip thrust. Like, I think I could probably do 900,000 million pounds with a hip thrust. I don't even know. I don't want to load that barbell.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, squats, deadlifts, you know, even some partial variations of the deadlift are going to do a lot. Good mornings, obviously a big one. Different good morning variations, wide stance, close stance. Romanian deadlifts or stiff leg deadlifts, wide stance, close stance. Sumos, fine. Any kind of play where any kind of hip hinge. And then on top of those, as I mentioned, hyperextensions and glute ham raise are great as well. So, yeah, I mean, hip thrusts, you got to bear in mind, soy sauce banana. Hip thrusts are a relatively new movement. They were highly popularized by Bet Contreras and really pushed in the industry. And they're great, don't get me wrong, but they're far from being mandatory.
Yeah, far from being mandatory.
I'm pretty sure Ronnie Coleman, I never saw him do a hip thrust, right? And you remember his glutes.
I don't know. You know, like my rule is like, did anybody before the year 2010 use something? If not, I probably don't need it because I'm a stubborn old guy. I don't like new stuff. Well, I don't like a lot of new stuff.
You know, if the gym has a specific machine for it, in which I don't have to drag it over a barbell and load it up, then I'll use it. But I'm not setting up a barbell for that. It's just too tiring.
You know, with regards to hip thrusts and face pulls, even, you know, we're like in the Jurassic stage of these lifts.
Yeah.
You need a machine for them. Like on a face pull, if you really want to do progressive overload to get stronger, you end up leaning back. You know, the more weight it's hard to get a good setup. So you really need a machine for that exercise, something that you can brace yourself against.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Hip thrust. Give me a machine, I'll try it.
Yeah.
Daniel, one of my clients. Hello, guys. How's it going?
Hey, Daniel.
And name a better duo. I'll wait. Starsky and Hutch. Mankind and The Rock. That's a better duo.
That's a good one. Aeon's one of my clients. Good to see you here, man.
So, Was there ever a better tag team than Mankind and The Rock?
They were amazing. That was a good time for wrestling as well. Mankind was on top of it. He was really good. It was about the time he did that massive jump off the cage, but that was also a good time for The Rock as well.
Man, there's some moments in life that are just magical, and you'll never relive them. And that's one era that will never. Everything will be compared to that for a very long time.
You know, one of my favorite parts of that era was not even towards the end, but do you remember when WCW got moved into WWE and Booker T was on it? I personally feel Booker T is a comic genius. I think he is insanely funny. The stuff between him and Stone Cold, you know, where they were in the supermarket, where they were in the church, and Kurt Angle was in there as well. That stuff, Booker T is just hilarious. I think he's great. Yeah.
You still watch wrestling these days? Because I have a hard time connecting with the WWE stuff.
Like after about probably 2008-ish, 2007, I just can't. No. But the golden era for me was like late 90s, early 2000s. That was great.
I tune in now and I see a bunch of skinny noodle looking guys, and I just don't connect with it. It's not like seeing like, you know, the big. It's just not the same for me. I just don't connect with it.
I want to see big roided out idiots acting like goofballs. It's great. That's what I want to see.
Hey, and how's it going? Thanks for joining me. All right, Daniel, should I worry about eating too many eggs? Well, let's start with this. How many of us are worried about how much alcohol we're drinking? Yeah. How many of us are worried about how much fast food we're eating? So let's frame it properly, right? Eggs are one of the most micronutrient-rich foods. They're inexpensive. You get fats and proteins. I love eggs. I eat a shit ton of eggs. Should you worry about overeating one food? It's probably always good to have a balance of foods, but I comb through Daniel's protein choices this week, and he's got a good balance. So no, I don't really think so. I don't, you always want to watch your health and your health markers and stuff, but I don't know.
So, I mean, I'll give you a couple of answers on this, Daniel. So firstly, the latest meta-analysis seems to suggest that it's not a problem. It's more the early meta-analysis said that we're pointing to issues with eating too many eggs, but they coincided with people's whose diets were less than great anyway. So again, like Steve was saying, they weren't really focused on overall health. The latest meta-analysis tends to look at people with more balanced diets and better non-processed diets, and it seems to suggest there's no problem whatsoever. I've been through periods of my life where I've ate a lot of eggs. I did like a stint on keto for a few months in 2020, and I got blood work afterwards, and my blood work was great. Actually, my HDL was sky high, my LDL was really low. So yeah, I mean, I would urge on the side of saying no, there's no problem. I have heard that some people have a hyperaction towards the cholesterol and they get really skewed blood work on it, but those are a very small minority of people. I don't think it's something which the average person has a problem with. So that's the meta-analysis, and it's my personal experience. Hopefully that's valuable.
I will end with this. Like anybody that's trying to find a cheap way to feed themselves in America, like at a Walmart or at a supermarket, you can get 30 to 36 eggs for $5. You get 10 pounds of rice for $5. I mean, rice and eggs are one of my staples. Fats, proteins, and carbs. I add a little salt, a little pepper, a little soy sauce, a little hot sauce, maybe some diced up veg, and I'm good.
Ooh, yeah.
And I love rice and eggs together all mixed in. I do.
Eggs are a good binder for ground beef as well. So that's another good one too.
Yeah. Billy Batson. I think I saw this. I was going to say I was going to make a superhero reference, but you already got Shazam in there. So, do you guys have any advice for some with quads that seem too large?
Yes.
Should I reduce volume on legs?
Right. My mind immediately. I contest prep a lot of clients, Billy. Like I have I have 3 guys right now and 1 girl who are prepping for shows in a month's time. Like, you're not going to know whether your legs are too big unless you get lean. Like, you may just have very, very favorable body fat distribution, and you may hold a lot of body fat on your legs. Like, you're not going to know unless you get lean. And I'm talking like 10% lean. You may just have very, very good body fat distribution. I would caution you on reducing leg size just based on that alone. Like, if you're carrying like 15-20% body fat, even that low, that's pretty. Like, I'm probably about 15% right now, and I'm pretty lean. So, like, even if you're carrying a reasonable amount of body fat, you're not going to know really unless you diet down and see where it comes off. So I wouldn't be so much in a rush to reduce leg size. Just be wary that is a problem first.
Yeah, sometimes the way a muscle looks, Faz, makes it look bigger.
Yeah.
Like, I had a guy that was really, one of these guys that posted on one of my comments, like, you can get big with light weights, boy. I'm going to show you, right? And one of those things. And I got big muscles on light weights. And then you look at his video, and he has really full bicep.
Yeah.
But there's nothing else there.
Yeah.
So, like, my quads, Faz, they look huge, but they're only like 26 inches.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of times what I'm saying is the shape or the length of the muscle bellies or the angle can really make them look bigger, more appealing.
Yeah. 100%.
All right, Jan, thank you. That's some flex and magic right there, Jan. Yeah.
Jan's a regular on my channel as well. Good to see you.
Best bodybuilding duo on the planet. Thank you, sir. All you guys are going to get some free stuff for that. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Ace Bright, thank you, sir. And Tim, thanks for all the great info. Thank you. We appreciate it. If my 1 rep max calculator says I can do 95 by 7 on squats, but I have never put more than 85 on my back before, should I attempt 95? No. I'm not a big fan of jumping up big sums in weight, because of something we talked about earlier. Let your connective tissue strengthen.
Yeah. Give it 5 pounds, dude. 2.5 kilos. I'd want to see 87.5 and then 80, then 90, right, and then 92.5. You don't want to jump 20 pounds. You're asking for trouble.
This is something I think probably drives some of my clients nuts, especially on the deadlift. Like, hey, I just did 300 by 10. I want to move up to 320. Like, hey, no, you don't. You're going to move up to 305.
Yeah.
Slow and steady, dude. Slow and steady.
Yeah. You got like 10 PRs there. You still got to hit. So,
and you can't rush progress. If anything, you can slow it.
Yeah.
So. Tim, 55-year-old 5-day program, squats or quad squats with sumo deadlift on Wednesday, quads, hack squats and leg press on Sunday. Working great, but outer quads on fire most days. Any thoughts? No. You're working hard, man. Your quads are on fire. Roll with it. I don't know. I mean, that's when I was working hard, I'd be sore for 3 or 4 days. And it's all I got to say is, Tim, if you're crushing it and you're hitting your +1s and PRs and you're recovering okay, just go with it, man. I mean, any negatives here, Faz?
I mean, you might be relatively new to the program, so if you've only been doing it for a couple of weeks, then you are going to have that newness effect. But after a while, it should pretty much go away, unless you do something really crazy. The soreness is associated with newness. It's not associated with growth or even damage, really. So, like, the more often you train, the less sore you get. But if every training session is an absolute banger where you're lifting like way more weight or like way more reps or way more volume, then you're going to get sore. That's kind of where my head's at. The other thing I was thinking was, if it's a bad pain, then just be wary of that. Like, is it your quads or is it like your IT band? But by the sounds of it, I think he's saying, Steve, that his legs just get sore, right? So that's okay.
It's good. Have more sex. Sit on your butt more. Take some nice hot baths. Watch the movie Twilight. You'll be okay.
You know what you could do as well, Timothy? You could add in some light work as an extra session. So like the West Side guys do, an extra session on your quads. Maybe just when you're at home one day, just do a set of 50 bodyweight squats, air squats, maybe a couple of times a week. That will help you, soreness.
I used to lift 4 days during the week, and on Saturday and Sunday, I'd go hike, long hike on Saturday, and on Sunday, I'd do a shorter hike. Come Monday, I feel fresh as a daisy. I don't know if it's from the fresh air, the extra movement, or whatever, but I don't know. Just always work well.
Yep.
Ace Bright, is there anything I should know about my slingshot? Just ordered. How often should I use it? I'm going to share my opinion. I don't know how much experience Faz has with it, but when you're first using it, the first thing you need to know is the first 3 or 4 workouts, it's going to feel really weird. It's going to feel awkward. And then all of a sudden you don't notice it. I probably would use it every other session or with only one variation. So you could do maybe just use it with dumbbell bench. Maybe just use it with close grip bench. Just maybe use it every other session on bench or just with one exercise. Any thoughts, Faz?
I love my slingshot. Got it right here. It's like an advertisement for Mark Bell's slingshot.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Like I think it's a great piece of kit. I used it extensively when I was at my strongest. I love it. I'm a big fan. It does a couple of things really well, Ace. So one, it helps to keep your form conducive to good shoulder health and good pressing. And secondly, it builds the areas which you need to have a big bench. So people say it doesn't have carryover to raw benching. It's just nonsense. Like, it's going to build your triceps really strong, and you need big triceps to have a healthy, effective bench, a healthy bench. So I'm a huge fan. Like, in terms of training frequency, I mean, you could, depending on what you like to do, they replace all of your actual barbell pressing with the slingshot. I've never done any slingshot benching with dumbbells like Steve has. I've just never tried it. Don't have anything against it, but you could, it's not something which you could. There you go. Like, it's great. Like, it's honestly, it's a great piece of kit. Like, it'll save your shoulders. I wish, and I've thought about this before. I was going to ask you, Steve. If we were to make something equivalent for like the squat, how would it work? Like, what areas would we support? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I mean, have you ever squatted with briefs?
Yeah, I got briefs. Yeah.
I used briefs for about a year just as a test, and they seem to be able to add, like just loose briefs.
Yeah.
Like 40 pounds to the squat. I remember doing like a 220. I did a 225 by 20 on squat in like 30 seconds. It was ridiculous. I don't know. I kind of use loose briefs and kind of in the same class.
Yeah, I guess now you mention it.
Sorry.
I guess now you mention it. Sorry.
I don't know if there's carryover, like there's carryover from the slingshot.
Yeah, I guess now you mention it, like the briefs do tend to keep you more upright, so that's a positive. Maybe that places more stress on the quads, but then again, your legs are out that wide, so I don't know. Just something I was wondering when I was walking back from the gym the other day, if we were to create something which has the same benefits as a slingshot, as in puts more work on the areas which build the benching muscles, how would that work for a squat? So the muscles that build a squat, hopefully glutes, quads, what would put more emphasis on those? I don't know. It's tough to say. Yeah,
it's a good conversation. I use it back when I got my slingshot's one of the OGs, and Mark Bell is the people actually messaged me last year saying if they could use me in their advertisements because I have an OG slingshot. And when I first started using it, everyone was like, "You shoot your eye out, kid. You shoot your eye out. You're gonna wreck your bench." And like, nah. Between chains and slingshot, my bench was overload, lockout. And you know what? I lost 100 pounds and then set an all-time bench PR. So it's what it is.
That's a great piece of kit.
And Faz, when I took it off for a meet, didn't notice a difference.
Yeah.
Didn't. Yeah. All right. Where are we? I got lost in the ramble on. Thank you, BKS. Appreciate it. Remember, you guys, to email me benthebarman@gmail.com or slide in my Instagram. I tried to post this as a super chat, but it wouldn't let me. Okay, good to know. So, what's going on? 3 days grace. Thanks, Paul X. Strength standards for dumbbell lateral raise. I'm not laughing at you, 3 days grace. It's just one of these exercises that you can do for 30 years and gain like 10 pounds, unless you want to cheat them.
I do less and less of them these days anyway, just for shoulder health. So I kind of prefer doing overhead presses and getting some standards on there. But I mean, I guess 20 pounds is a pretty good start. 40 pounds is a pretty good sort of end point. I've used 40-pound dumbbells before, and it's fine. You use a bit of swing, it's okay. But I wouldn't even, I mean, honestly, I'm not even sure you should really count the progression because it's that slow. No. Just focus on the overhead press work for actual numbers, you know?
When I do lateral raises, these days I give clients like leaning laterals. We used to do 40s or 50s where you're doing rest pause, kind of burnout stuff.
Yeah.
I developed a variation called the bulldozer lateral, which was starting on the opposite hip, and it was like drawing a sword. You would get a little bit more momentum. It felt better on the shoulders. I don't know if it was better for development, but I was able to get up to 60s on those with the momentum, and I felt okay. Is dragging the bar on the no?
Nope, definitely not.
The whole bar has to be on your shins. Feet have to be buried under the bar.
Yeah, no.
That pushes your weight forward over the bar, your center of gravity forward over the bar.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Fed, but this is something I beat the drum on. Like,
yeah,
the deadlift is a game of leverage. So the more weight you have in front of the bar, when you pull, your hips are going to start to come up, or want to come up. So I've never, ever, ever, ever dragged the bar against my shins on deadlift.
No. Yeah.
And, sorry, Fez, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is another thing where Steve and I have not discussed this before, but like I have the exact same view. If you go onto my Instagram and look at my pinned stories, I do a deadlift analysis there and I break it down step by step. And basically what you want to do is you want to set up with your shins maybe a couple of inches away from the bar, so that when you sit down, your shins can actually move forward and touch the bar like that. So that way, as your knees come forward, let's pretend this is your shin, right? Here's your knee. Your knee comes forward. What follows the knee coming forward? The hips. So the hips, you're able to push your hips forward a bit more. So if your hips are forward more, that means two things. One, your quads are more involved. And two, you're more upright. So you're not like straining your neck because that's bad form. You want your neck to be neutral. So the way to get your hips further into the movement is by pushing your knees further into the movement. If your shins are right next to the bar, your shins are going to be vertical, which means your ass is going to be all the way out there. So you're going to be all hunched over. And that's a great way to like tear a hamstring. So like Steve says, it's all about leverages, and any good deadlifter will tell you you've got to push it. You got to have you set up so your knees are slightly forward so that your hips can follow suit. You're never going to get under the bar, like you're never going to get your hips into it and your quads into it if your shins are plumb straight, because then by definition your ass has got to be way out there.
Yeah, with deadlift, if your feet are too far under the bar, your hips are going to want to come up. If your feet aren't far enough under the bar, your hips are going to want to come up. So it's something I talk about a lot, something to be very aware of. Yeah. Let's roll on. Favorite catchphrase or line from a movie? Have a great weekend. You too, Richard. So many great, I don't know if it's a catchphrase, but so many great lines in Alien 2. I mean, the whole fucking first 30 minutes is like every line is just memorable. I don't know, Faz. How about you?
What about It's All in the Reflexes? Where's that from?
So what's that from? I'm clueless.
It's from Big Trouble in Little China. Do you remember that film?
Nah, man, I don't know. I haven't been forever since I've seen that movie.
It's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I don't know. What's the dude in Aliens 2? with all the big lines. What's his name? Shoot.
You mean Bill Pullman, Bill Paxman?
Like, yeah, Bill Paxton, the guy that did
Game Over, man.
Game over, man. Game over. Run express elevator to hell. I mean, that was like that everything that guy says in that movie is
great.
It's just brilliant.
Yeah. He was the guy in True Lies. Do you remember him with Arnie and I forget that lady's name. Jamie Lee Curtis. He was a sleazy car salesman.
Yeah. What a brilliant performance in that movie. I mean, that movie would not be the same without Bill Paxton.
He was great.
Sorry, Milo. I guess you're talking about comments, so just apologize, guys.
Milo, as you can see, you know, we're not sat here deleting comments. It's YouTube doing it.
A wrecking ball, Renaissance periodization, 2 different types of training templates, hypertrophy and strength. Faz's approach to hypertrophy is like RP's strength program. Why is
no, it's not. No,
I don't know anything about RP's strength.
My approach to hypertrophy is not anything like RP's strength program at all whatsoever. A wrecking ball. So I don't know where you get that information from.
Yeah, so I don't know. I've never looked at it, but I'll take a look at it. Maybe we can discuss it in a video at some point. We got a lot of stuff to go through right now, guys. I'm going to try to get Faz out of here. I'm in the middle of a bulk. This is from 3 Days Grace, gaining about 1 kilogram per month. That's too fast. Was supposed to hit 72 kilograms today, but fell sick. How should I aim to bulk? Just go back to your calorie intake.
Yeah.
Don't change anything.
No.
Like if you go off your cut, you know, and go right back on your cut. If you go off your bulk, go right back on your bulk. I will say you're going a little bit too quickly. That's 2.2 pounds a month. I'll kind of maybe temper that a little bit, chill it, maybe 1.75 pounds a month max. That's okay to be aggressive if you also have a cut plan in place, right?
I think with 3 days, he's a relative beginner. He's only started training about 3 or 6 months ago, I think, and he's young. He's like 18. I don't mind 1 kilo a month for you, and I would agree completely with what Steve said about the calories. Just go back to your regular calories. All you've lost is a bit of water and fluff and food in your gut. You've not lost much.
Yeah, it's mostly all water weight. BKS, anything I should add to having a barbell, weight plates, dip belt, Olympic dumbbells, squat rack, high and low pulley, trap bar, and adjustable bench? Legs are hard to work at home. So over at Titan Fitness, I have no affiliation, but they have some good. They have a sissy squat for like $150. They have a kind of a vertical leg press, I believe, for $400. I got a couple leg things for $400. At where you're at right now, I would, unless you want to be doing lunges and Bulgarian split squats and all that kind of stuff. If you're serious about leg training, I would maybe look at adding 1 piece of leg equipment. Any thoughts, Faz?
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I did a lot of home training during the issues like we had last year, and legs were always problematic. I did have here's a cool exercise you can try for legs though, with a dipping belt. If you place a loaded bar at the bottom safeties, right, on a squat rack, and then load it up on both ends, and take one end and put your dipping belt underneath that one end, take it out and use that like a belt squat. It's going to sound weird to visualize, but try and look up like belt squat setup on a squat rack, and you can see what I mean. But it works pretty well. The only other thing I'll suggest is maybe a landmine row, so you can do T-bar rows, one-arm rows, which are a bit easier to set up, stuff like that. I guess I'm just trying to think what I've got in my home gym setup. I've got all that, and I've got a landmine setup as well, and also safeties. Make sure you can actually squat safe.
Yes. Have you ever heard of there's a lift that I did back in the day that I don't even know. I've never seen anybody else do. And I'm trying this. Just give me a second and see if I can even find it. If not, I'll let it go. Oh, here we go. Sweet baby. This is okay. A barbell donkey squat.
Okay.
This is something I used to do back in the home gym days.
Mm.
And I'm going to mute this because I'm not sure what kind of. I don't recommend this exercise. Okay. But let me just get through the ad here. But I did this back in the day in the dungeon gym days. And this is a video from, I don't know. I did this. You can't put too much weight on that front end or it's going to, or you got to put some weight on the front end.
Yeah.
I will tell you what, this is a pain in the ass to set up, and those weights always want to move, but my quads love this exercise.
That's cool.
But I had to give it up because it was way too much. But yeah, Titan Fitness has got some good leg stuff. I would check. I would think about that. All right, let me stop this video in the background. I like having a barbell jack. Speaking of, let's see. Speaking of having a barbell jack, headlift stands. You got those in the UK?
Yeah. But the barbell jacks are pretty cool. We've got the single
No,
ones.
these are actually these are actually like a I can't even find it on here. I have them in my gym. They're like you put them on the end of a barbell, and I'll find it when we're screwing around.
What are they called?
I can't remember what they call them. I thought they were called stands or something, but
okay. So they attach onto the barbell. So I guess you just kind of you roll it onto them, right?
Yeah, I'll find it in the background when we're answering a question.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
All right. GTREHABK. Okay. If you remember, I asked you about how can I do my first pull-up. You told me to drop some weight and try natural grip, and it worked. Neutral grip, and it worked. That's good. Cool. Neutral grip is underrated as far as pull-ups go.
Yeah.
So don't rule those out, guys. Good grief. Thank you. Thank you for the donation. Can I trust 1-rep max calculators? Yeah, they're reasonable. They're more reasonable than guessing. I find them fairly reasonable. So, you have any issues with them, Faz?
Yeah, I think they're a good starting point. What you should do though, Ian, is you should track all of your PRs so that over time you can have your own coefficients. That's what I used to do when I was like really into like rep maxes, like 8-rep max, 5-rep max, 3-rep max, and you can correlate that to your own 1-rep max so you know what you're working with. So, like for me, a 3-rep max was exactly 93% of a 1-rep max, pretty much always. So there you go. You have your own coefficient. Works well.
All right. What do we got next? 3 days grace. Have you ever tried weighing the barbell? Yeah, absolutely. They're all different.
Yeah.
They're always a little bit different.
Yeah.
And measure your plates as well. They're not always the same size.
Mm-hmm. But I think the bottom line is it doesn't really matter. You're just still trying to get stronger.
Yeah. Sometimes you walk into a gym and like you'll do lifting on a different barbell or a different set of weights. And you're like, oh, it felt heavier today. You know why? Because it doesn't weigh the same. That's why.
Yeah. Or if you go into a new gym, sometimes it's like everything's lighter or everything's heavier. Like, yeah. So
if you have more muscle, you need more time to recover.
Cammy's one of my clients. He's looking absolutely jacked there.
I don't find I need more time to recover. It's really about workout intensity, you know.
Yeah, I mean, age has probably changed things. I think I need to pay more attention to my recovery now than I did when I was 18. But I don't know about you, Steve, but nothing much changed between the ages of like 18 to maybe 35. After that, I mean, you know, I just have to pay a little bit more attention to recovery right now, but that's about it, really.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of hit a groove in my 40s with training. Mm-hmm. So I knew it was like a dance. I had it all nailed. I trained 4 days a week. I knew how hard I could train.
Yeah.
And I never really had soreness issues. I never really had recovery issues. And I never really trained or changed a lot of those variables.
Yeah.
Can you do a 4-week deload, then switch for 4 weeks deload and repeat? You can, but here's the issue. And Faz, you can tell me what you think about this. If you do one program, it's going to take you 2 to 3 weeks to really hit it on a new program. Like you're kind of adjusting to the demands of the new program. You're getting used to the weights and the reps and the minutia. So I don't think you're getting a lot out of it, Faz.
Yeah. So I know Justin posted on my channel quite a lot. So I remember his questions. He asked me recently, what would be the best way to go from being like an early intermediate to advanced level? And he asked about like switching programs. Trust me, Justin, this is not it. Like this approach that you're suggesting is not the way to do it. Now, what I do think is valuable is having deloads or working in waves. So either one, you've got to try and manage your fatigue somehow. So that could be working in waves, like 3-week waves are quite popular, or having like a strength training block, like a training block followed by a deload and then the next training block. That is good. But the thing is, you're not switching to different programs. You might be doing the same program after a deload. That's the advantage of doing a deload, is you can go back to the same program and you've just broken up your training. With 3-week waves, you might have the same overall structure, but different exercises within those waves. So then you can say, let's name them. Let's say you've got 3 waves. The first wave is a squat and bench emphasis. Second wave is an overhead press and deadlift emphasis. The next wave is chin up emphasis, whatever, right? You might rotate those 2-3 waves around. So every 9 weeks, you're coming back to the first wave and you can improve on what you've done. And every subsequent wave will they'll build each other up. So that's one way to do things, as long as that wasn't so hard to understand. What you're suggesting is where you don't need to have different waves because you're having a break. That the break is managing the fatigue, not the waves. So when you're doing a deload approach, you can just go back to the same program and keep pushing that. So yeah, I guess that's kind of, I'm basing my answer off what you're asking me on my channel. So I agree with Steve. I don't think that's the best strategy, because if you're using a deload, the idea is you're supposed to go back to the same program. Like otherwise there's no advantage of doing a deload over just doing different waves and changing exercises every 3 weeks. You're giving yourself a break from training. You're losing training time so you can go back to doing the same routine and you can progress on that routine. I did talk about this in a recent video, so maybe refer you back to that. But yeah, Justin, I'd say at your stage, Justin, from the questions you're asking, I think you really need to hire someone, at least for a few months, just to get you on the right track, so you kind of get your head around all these questions.
Thanks, Faz. Paul X, sorry, been on the squat question. It's all right. But to clarify, I was born with a club foot, live a normal life, and also not a big deal, but I believe my ankle is impossible to bend without breaking. Just find exercises you can do, man. I mean, really, that's what it's all about. We all have limitations. I've coached Special Olympians, and it's all about finding things you can do.
I suggested the box squat to him, so that's a good one.
Something, gotcha. My flat foot is to the ground. Gotcha. Rajdeep, thoughts on hitting each muscle group every 10 days? I guess the answer is why. Is there something in your life that makes you do this? But I've asked many of these questions over the years, like, can I try this? Can I experiment with this? There's really no value in stretching it out.
No.
None.
No. I would prefer to see you hit it more often rather than less often.
Yeah. Bilal, what's going on? Just crushed a back and leg workout. And when Bilal says he crushed something, everything in the gym is still smoking when he leaves. It's on fire. All right, the real Scott. Hey, guys, I'm worried I'm not gaining muscle. Is there anything you can recommend? Sign up for coaching. I mean, head over to Super Living today. It's only $80 a month. Coach with Faz, I don't care. But look, there's so many guys spinning their wheels. Have you been consistent the last 365 days? Are you hungry for progression? Are you making any excuses? Are you using the big lifts? Are you using a wide range of exercises? Are you just doing squats? It's hard to say The real Scott. We would need to see your program. You can send that to me on Instagram at Ben the Barman, or send it to Faz Lifts on Instagram. We'd be happy to take a look. It's like looking under the engine of a car. You have to look at every piece and part, from nutrition to attitude. You might think you're training hard. We might look at it and say, dude, you are like not even close to where you need to be. No, I don't know, real Scott. We need to look at everything.
I think there's a lot of value to just hiring someone, even if it's just for a few months, because you'll enjoy the process and you can fast track where you're at. Like the amount of knowledge that Steve and I have got, like I've got 20 years of all this kind of stuff. Like it fast tracks your game so much quicker than just trying to figure it all out yourself, because there are so many moving parts. You might not even appreciate where you're going wrong. You might be looking in completely the wrong place. Whereas Steve and I could look at it and go, boop, there's your problem.
Yeah, I'd say about 20% of the people that sign up with me only stay for 3 months. That's my minimum commitment. But in that time, I put them on the right track. I watch their calories, and they know what the standard is now.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah,
and they know it never ends. 3 days grace. I'm weighing my barbells right now. A few days ago, after my birthday party was over, I was still thinking about my squat PR. That's that can't be faked. That's just loving what you do. My safety squat bar with the pads is 45.8. Olympic barbell is 44.2. Trap bar. So yeah, nothing. I mean, hey, it's the modern era. Everything's disposable, right? Everything is disposable. Nothing's precision. My Olympic dumbbells are 7.8 per handle. Not surprised. Faz, do you have in your 40s goals for weightlifting?
Yes, I do. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I do. You know what? Next year, I'm definitely going to compete. I'm going to compete again. I was thinking about it this year.
Powerlifting?
Sorry?
Powerlifting, bodybuilding?
Bodybuilding. I want to compete. I want to be on this bodybuilding stage again next year. I thought about it this year, but I lost quite a lot of muscle during the issues last year because I had obviously gym access was closed. So it wasn't enough for me I don't feel I've regained as much muscle as I would have done from where I was in 2018. But I'd like to carry on regaining some muscle, and then I'd like to do a bodybuilding show probably when I'm 41, like next year after July. I would also like to step on the powerlifting stage again at some point, because powerlifting is like my first love. I don't think I'll ever do strongman again, but yeah, I would definitely say a bodybuilding and powerlifting show are in my future, 100%. Like I'm not old by any means, 40s is still relatively young in the grand scheme of things. I'm 100% certain I can carry on making small improvements in my 40s. But I want to regain what the global issues took from me, because also, Steve, I don't know if you're aware, at the start of all the issues around the world in 2020, I massively messed up my back. I had a disc issue from a non-training, non-gym related issue, like from biking.
Right.
So I didn't realize at the time, but that caused me more problems than I thought it did. So I had some issues with strength, and I lost some muscle because of that, combined with home training. So yeah, that was pretty messed up. I didn't realize it was that bad, because obviously you change gyms, you don't know what you're doing and stuff, and there's a whole big change. So yeah, I think I can regain some muscle tissue and definitely hit a bodybuilding show, hit a powerlifting show for sure. I definitely think so. All
right, so I got a challenge for you.
Yeah.
All right. So I've been thinking about it as well, and I need some motivation. So my birthday next year, age 55, October 13th.
Yes.
Okay. I challenge you. Okay, you ready?
All right.
We both take a picture on October 13th. We don't have to be in perfect bodybuilding shape, but
yeah,
let's see where we are.
Sounds good.
All right.
That is around about the same time as there'll be a show, I think. So regionals are roughly October, September time. So yeah, I'll be in pretty good shape.
I've been thinking about getting loose skin removal on my lower belly. If I do, I might actually compete in bodybuilding. It's not bad, but Yeah. All right, let's roll on.
I like the challenge, though. I'm up for that. Let's do it.
Yeah. I'm 5'10", 65 kilograms. Should I really cut down? Cut down to what? I mean, you're 5'10". That's where I started lifting. I'm not being sarcastic, but everybody's got a little bit of fat. What are your goals? To be shredded or to lift? To build muscle.
Yeah.
To build muscle, at some point, you're just going to have to sell out. Fast, I get a lot of people that around where this gentleman's at that I just can't get to gain weight because every time they gain 2 pounds, they're panicking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any words of advice?
Yeah, Abhishek, my older brother is mid-40s and he's about 62 kilos shredded at about 10% with abs. But the thing is, like, he's not a lifter, he just wants to be lean for his family's sake. So I'm assuming because you're listening to this channel, you want to get jacked. So I don't think you should cut down to abs right now. Like, you need some muscle on your frame. So like we always promote a small surplus and gain. And you know what? I'm going to say one more thing, right? When I finally got into bodybuilding shape around about, I don't know, age 38 or whenever it was, I had a lot of muscle tissue on me, right? I'd accrued a lot of muscle on my frame. Do you know why? Because during my 20s, 20 to 30 years old, when all of my friends were out, like, getting shredded, going to parties, all that kind of stuff, I was in the gym, I was eating my face off, and I was lifting heavy and accruing muscle tissue for well over a decade, so that when I did cut down, there was actually something there. And so people look at me now and go, okay, you hit stage, like, I was with a lot of muscle tissue. That's because I spent well over a decade just eating my face off, getting a hell of a lot stronger to accrue that muscle tissue, so that now I'm in my 40s and I still look pretty yoked. So don't make that mistake. Like, I'm not telling you to get fat or anything, but by age 30, you should have accrued a ton of muscle tissue. And if you've not, you've done it wrong, right?
One thing I tell people, Faz, is that 65 kilograms at 15% body fat or 85 at 15% body fat, you add that muscle, you're going to look 10 times better. It's not just the body fat, it's how much muscle you carry.
Yes.
So you guys need to remember that.
Your favorite fitness star who's got abs and everything, they're usually massive. Like, even the females, like some of these girls are running around, with like abs. They're tanked. They're not weighing 60 kilos. They're more like 70. So you got some muscle on your frame.
Can you guys make a video about training over the age of 40? I'm actually working on a program. One of the things on my back burner. So I have some ideas, and I did a podcast about this. So check it out. It's got some good information.
One of my first videos that I ever did was training tips for the older lifter. So just go ahead and just search that on my channel, training for the older lifter.
BKS, is it okay to go from a bro split to upper lower to get a little bit more? Yeah, whatever, man. It's not splitting hairs. Just do what you want to do.
I don't know. I wouldn't. Like, if you're in the middle of a bulk right now, I wouldn't change, because you're going to have a lead-in time to your other train,
It's not going to get you any more out of your bulk. The only thing that's going to get you more out of your bulk is doing a program you really can run like a scalded dog on. You really feel like it facilitates, plus ones in progress.
Mm.
I had no idea Faz was that strong. Adhar, how many sets per week for small muscle groups? I do 4 sets for biceps, triceps. If you're doing your regular compounds and stuff, that's a good starting point. But triceps, not every muscle group's the same. Triceps are bigger and beefier and can take more punishment. A lot of it has to do with how much time you got in the gym. Side delts are not a small muscle group. They should be worked with your overhead pressing. Rear delts should be hammered with rows, and then maybe a couple, 2-3 sets of your favorite rear delt exercise. Biceps, I don't know. I never did more than 6. You can do more. You can do a little bit more. What do you think, Faz?
I think Steve's laid out some good guidelines there. Rear delts, I'm not a massive fan of putting a lot of delt volume into those. I would say with calves, I want at least 10. If they're a focus. And I'll be honest, I don't do any calf work right now because my calves are massive anyway. They always have been. So biceps, my biceps are a weak point, so I generally always have about 10 sets in there. Triceps, I have about 10 direct sets, but they get a lot of crossover work because I'm very tricep dominant presser. So I like to have my tris quite big. It's just good for pressing, good for overall shoulder health and everything. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, Adhar, you look jacked, dude. You look great, you know. So, but if you're trying to grow, I would probably err on having a little bit more work in there. It doesn't all have to be super heavy, but if you're getting some nice quality work in on the isolation exercises to failure, you're doing pretty well. Also, bear in mind the crossover effect from like compounds. So when I say 10 sets, some of that might be made up by some work from the compounds as well. So like if you're doing a lot of dips and bench pressing, that will carry over quite well to triceps. So it might reduce the overall amount of tricep work that you're doing. But based on growth, you know, I would say 10 sets is pretty good, but it doesn't all have to be direct.
Interesting question. Strength standards for lat pull downs, and I'll explain why it's interesting. Number one, every machine's different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a leg press. There's 250,000 different lat pull downs, and everyone feels different. With lat pull downs in general, I feel they cap rather quickly, like a soft cap. Like you'll go, and then all of a sudden, boop, I can't progress anymore. And that's always been the case for me in lat pull downs. I can't give you a strength number because every machine's differently, but I can tell you it caps pretty quickly compared to other exercises, and then you reach a point where like adding a rep just feels impossible for like 2 years. That's the way it seems to me. How about you, Faz?
I'd say my best advice there is just your strength stand is to get strong enough so you get off the lat pull down and you get on the chins. Right. You know, that's for me. I don't program in lat pull downs for myself at all. I do all chin with chin ups, pull ups, and neutral grip of all three variations. I rotate those. I never do. And if I need to do lighter work for higher reps, I'll do it on an assisted machine or with bands. I just don't do any lat pull downs unless to warm up. I don't see the point.
Small jumps in leg press. Well, it depends on the leg press, but leg press, maybe 10 pounds is fine. That's one of the few exceptions. Yeah. But, you know, you're like, 10 pounds a week, man, that sucks. That's 500 pounds over the course of a year. So just give it time. 10 pounds is good. You start to get really strong on a leg press. I don't know. At some point on a leg press, if you're super strong, you know, loading it's more work than sometimes some of the sets. So
yeah.
Strength standard for low rows. Again, every machine is very different. It's harder for me to cap out on seated cable rows. I love this exercise personally. Just always maintain good form. I can get to the stack for like 5-6 on most machines. So if you're a couple 2-3 plates away from the end of the stack, you're doing pretty good. Yeah. Depends on the machine, though.
Yeah. I mean, I could tell you the last machine that I used for low rows, I think I had 5 plates on the side, but then that doesn't mean anything because every machine is different. So what does that mean? I don't know. Yeah.
Krakos Grizzly. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Should you eat back the calories you burned on a given day where your activity was significantly higher? Nah.
Nope, never.
Unless you went out and did a 12-hour run or a 12-hour hike, the calorie, nah. Even when I was running 2 hours a day, I didn't bump it. No. It's usually not that significant unless you did something extreme. Losing about 2 pounds a week. I have been doing a full body workout 5 days a week with progressive overload, starting with very fatigued and waking up a lot at night. Will this go away if I continue? A lot of things under the hood to look at here. Are you going to bed full? Are you going to bed satisfied? When are you eating most of your food choices? What are your food choices? So hard to give you advice. I would like to look at what you're actually doing. Please consider joining Team Massive at superlivingtoday.com if you could. If not, send us a DM, maybe with a little bit of information, you know, so we can kind of peek under the hood. Any general thoughts, Faz?
Yeah, I mean, if you've gone through everything that Steve has said, about just looking at your program, I will say this: insomnia and waking up in the middle of the night is a side effect of overtraining. So, and I'll also say this: you can carry on gaining strength in the gym and still have symptoms of overtraining or overreaching. One of them for me is definitely my sleep starts to get pretty messed up. So will it go away? Unlikely. I would also say, do you need 5 days a week of full body training when you're cutting?
No.
And bear in mind, you're cutting now. Do you need that much work when you're cutting? Or would you be better served by doing 2 days a week of cutting, followed by additional cardio, low stress cardio, which will burn maybe the same or more amount of calories rather than high stress lifting weights? You got to be sensible about this. You're trying to reduce stress because you're already getting the stress of a calorie deficit, particularly if you're losing 2 pounds a week. That's a very robust calorie deficit. So remember, the goal is to manage stress. That may well be related to your sleep. But I think Steve's right on the money with this. We'd need to know a lot more of the moving parts. So yeah, message me on Instagram if you like. Message Steve. We can try and help out.
Yeah, one of the things you run into is the response. I like training. I know you do.
Mm-hmm.
I like it too. But there are times when we have to temper what we're doing because there are other things in life that are important. And getting sleep, is very important. So
I'm guilty of it as well. That's why I'm giving the advice. I'm guilty of it too. I've done it before, and I would rather you pull back on the weights. Remember, it's maintenance training, and then do a little more walking and some cardio. That will help. Yeah.
All right. Paul X Muscles. Sorry. Mike McClellan, go Red Sox. I'm not sure if you guys ever follow American baseball over there fast. Baseball is outside of space. It's one of my top loves in life.
Okay. Cool.
And yeah, I'd like to see the Red Sox in the World Series. I don't really care for Houston. Katil, strained my left adductor during a squat PR last week. Still want to train legs. Any suggestions? If you got a strain, you got to give it time. So go in, do your warm-ups. If anything's unusual, pull the parachute.
Yeah.
If you got a strain, though, you should not be training 100%.
No.
Anything to add, Faz?
Agree with that. I would also say when I've seen people with adductor strains on squats, it tends to be overuse on the squat. So if you've been doing just basic linear periodization and just squatting week in, week out, smash, 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 that's probably your issue. It's got you a PR, which is great, but it's also very, very good for getting you injured. We're, with a lot of these questions, as Steve has said, we're kind of spitballing the answers because we don't know your overall program. But just based on what I've seen, these types of issues tend to be people who just keep smashing away at the lift over and over. They don't have any variety, any waves, any periodization. It gets you strong real quick, but it gets you injured too.
When I was doing heavy daily work at my strongest, Faz, I would work up to a heavy daily max, single, double, triples, fives, whatever on squats. I was getting a lot of adductor strains.
Yeah.
So I can kind of mirror what squats and Faz equals squats.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
A wrecking ball. Faz should buy Renaissance Periodization Strength Template. He will see that it prioritizes strength in just the same way he prioritizes strength when he's programming for hypertrophy. There could be some similar pillars in there. But, as a coach, sometimes the big picture is far different than the pillars in place. I don't know. I don't really want to buy it, though. So no offense. Yeah. A bit late to the party, but good day from Australia. Good day. Thanks for joining us. I'll try to remember to send you a video of my squat. No rush. I'll be in office all weekend. Send it to me or Faz. Yeah. And the easiest way, if you guys can, is to upload it unlisted to YouTube and just send a link.
Yeah, you can send it to me, faz@fazlifts.co.uk. That's all good. Send me an email there. That's happy to have a look.
All right, we're almost done, guys. Do push-pull legs 3 days on, rest, repeat. I'm not sure if that's framed. I see a follow-up, Is push-pull legs okay when restricting calories? You don't have to stick to a tight schedule on push-pull legs. You could do it 4 days a week and have a rotating schedule. Really, it's not the workout, it's how you execute it. I find that 3 days on, 1 day off would beat me up on a normal programming. I tried that when I was 21 and it killed me after about 4 or 5 years. A lot of overuse injury, or 4 or 5 months, a lot of overuse injuries and strains and pains. So I would probably limit workouts to 4 days a week. Any general thoughts, Faz?
Just a quick tip for you, Rob. Yeah, if you're going to do that, whatever the frequency, if you're going to pull back or whatever, have some rotations. Like when the last time I did PPL, I had 3 different PPL rotations. So it provides more variety, which has a little bit less repetitive stress on your joints. So, but I think you've still got to bear in mind what Steve says. I mean, the overall systemic fatigue on your entire system, especially when you're restricting calories, is going to be a problem. So, yeah, the rotations can help, but you're still going to smash yourself into the ground if you're not able to recover from the sessions.
Yeah, what Faz says, I always have an A and B, at least an A and B. Push A, push B, pull A, pull B, legs A, legs B. So a little bit of variety. Let's see. I'm training 4 times a week, focusing each session on bench, squat, or dead, okay, and pendlay row. Okay, I've been doing this for 12 weeks and made great progress. Going to keep it up. If it rolls, roll on. That's all I can say. No matter who's. We got a little fight going on. I was not talking to you, Shake Master. All right, Rob and Shake Master going at it. All I'll say, guys, is that's not how I roll here. You guys can get a room over on Instagram. I'm not. I appreciate you guys tuning in, but don't do that. Don't do that here. Be patient. Be kind. If you guys want to kill each other, they'll get a room. Jonathan D. Bigger party foul. Bicep curls in the squat. Here we go. Bicep curls in the squat rack during peak hours. You're going to die if you do that.
I love this question. That's great.
Like, I will go over there and tell you, move along, chubby. Or hoarding 2 separate pieces of equipment for oh, my God.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, look, I can respect the guy doing supersets, like getting it. That's reasonable. That's more reasonable to me than some. It's hard enough to get a squat rack.
Yeah.
Like, I would probably pick that guy up and relocate him. That's how frustrated I would be. How about you, Faz? Squaws. Faz. What the hell's going on?
I have ever so politely / firmly requested to work in on people doing bicep curls in squat racks. And then when I'm working in, I just so happen to take a lot of time doing my squats and my preparation for the squat. And usually by that time, they kind of get a little bit put off and they go curl somewhere else. So I'm never impolite. I've been known to do that in the past. Just put people off.
I will tell you, and it's something I really work on, is that when I hit 50, my patience ran out.
Yeah.
So when people do stupid things, I'm like, please stop doing stupid things around me.
I know.
So, all right. If the garage ceiling is 111 inches, how tall should the rack be? Is 100? Well, it depends on a lot of things. As long as it fits in your garage, you're good.
I wouldn't worry about the clearance height. I would worry more about, like, if you test it with a seated press or a standing press, that's your gauge. The height of the rack, it's going to clear whether it's 80, 90, or 100. Either way, it's going to clear. What you want to really test it on is where the barbell is going to go. So the things you're worried about are seated press, standing press, and that's about it. If you can clear that, then good to go.
And those I usually don't do inside the rack. I usually do them outside, removed from the rack.
Yeah.
So you just want to kind of test that. incline benches over at titanfitness.com are like 150, adjustable benches. I really, really advocate getting one of those for home gyms if you have a low ceiling. Zed, only been lifting for 4 months, but my bench has been stuck. Got 160 by 4 and keep losing reps. Went down to 130. Okay. First thing we're going to look at is nutrition. Second thing we're going to look at is programming. One of the best things that I find for people is to increase their volume and increase the number of sets they're pushing for AMRAPs. A little bit more intensity, a little bit more volume. You said I'd love to look at your program, and so would Faz. So feel free to send that to us on Instagram so we can take a peek. And I also want to see where your body weight's been the last 6 months. Okay. And Zed, if your calories aren't consistent, you're going into the corner of shame.
Yeah.
Okay. No excuses. Definitely buy Massive Iron Cookbook if you haven't. Everything is affordable at superlivingtheday.com. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you. And no problem, Rob. Thank you for saying sorry. I want everybody to come back, but it happens. Thank you. And thank you, guys. All right, guys, we're out of here fast. 2 hours and 25 minutes, and neither of us had to leave to pee.
Yeah.
Yes. Neither of us had to leave to pee. So, any big plans this weekend? I think you already said your plans this weekend, didn't you?
Yeah. I'm heading out for a party tomorrow, which would be fun. And yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, maybe we both need to get some food now because I'm pretty hungry. Like, what are you eating tonight?
It's Friday, and my wife's having minor surgery, and she can't drink or eat crap for like a month. So, wow, this might be my last day to have a naughty bit for a while. So I think what we're gonna do is we've been watching old horror movies this week.
Yeah.
Like we watched what's the thing with the guy with the Freddy Krueger? We watched the first one of that.
Nightmare on Elm Street, right?
Yeah, 1984, and then we watched Hellraiser, and then we watched Children of the Corn, and tonight we're watching Friday the 13th. So
nice.
I'm going to be doing a few beers and probably some pizza tonight.
I like it.
And I'm going to be a saint for a month. So, as I'm redoing my office. So I'm having flooring put in. I'm having a real man desk put in. Things are getting exciting. I'm redoing my gym. You can see the squat rack back there right now.
Yeah, nice. Very cool.
So that's what I'm doing this weekend, moving crap around.
Awesome.
So, guys, I appreciate everybody tuning in. I appreciate Faz joining me on these. When Faz joins me, we get a lot more questions. It's a lot more fun with two people. So anytime, Faz, you have the time, energy, and you want to push the bounds and limits of your personal relationships, you're willing to join me. You guys, please go over to his website, fazlifts.com, buy everything. Support the good guys in this industry. And if any of you want coaching, it's that time of year. Let's get things moving. Head over to superlivingtoday.com or fazlifts.com. We have probably two of the most affordable coaching packages on the internet, and we're with our folks, and we take your results seriously. So that's it. All right, Faz.
Take care, folks. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, we are out of here.